I love it when he restocks.
The good stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm probably one of the ones that kind of help drain all the coffee.
Hey, that's what it's there for.
I'm starting to get responses from. I finally posted the banner that Scott,
Leroy.
Yeah, Scott Leroy gave me. So I still have to establish my Facebook page. So I just, like you said it. So like, okay, I'll do that. So I just posted out there, and I got people that I haven't talked to in forever just saying congratulations. Now I'm like going, okay. So based on that, I now have to actually find their contact stuff, thank them, and put them in my database.
Yep.
So that's going to take me a while. But.
It will. When we talk about different ways to go about it, one of the things I had about 3 years ago, we did a program where we, at the beginning of the year, it's a good time to, we would email out or any way we knew how to contact and let people know, congratulations, you're going to be part of my 2021 Kevin Lewis Real Estate VIP Network. As part of this network, you and I will be doing quarterly real estate market evaluations. I will continue to update you on market snapshot. We'll be providing you helpful homeowner tips. Maybe a client appreciate. Basically, we wrote out, here's exactly how I'm going to lead generate to you for the next year, and it's a benefit to you. Because if we're coming from contribution, that's kind of the goal is, with those folks in my database, it's like I said, if I went and bought $100,000 worth of stock and I didn't get an update from my broker at least quarterly, I'd be pretty pissed. And I can guarantee you most of your folks that are in a home aren't getting a quarterly update from their agent. So that quarterly phone call can just be to let them know kind of what's going on in the neighborhood.
Well, the cool functions I found so far is, so most of my family's out of state.
Okay.
So now once I've got their address in there, their actual neighborhood pops up on the command, which is awesome. So it's nice to see that part.
Yeah, and then it adds them right into that neighborhood.
I'm sure there is. Is there a class like you did? You showed us the seminar on first-time home buyers. Is there something also in that database on builders? Because I've got a whole.
I don't know that there's one already prepared. We can absolutely put something together, though.
Because Anna's growing
quite a bit.
Multiple builders out there in communities. It's just, it's crazy how much is going out there.
Yeah.
And that's where one of the 4 things that I picked.
It's home builders. Okay. We'll get together one-on-one and kind of work on a plan of action. I got an agent that's doing a very similar thing. Good news is she's doing it in South Dallas. So I can team you two up. You can trade ideas of what's working, what's not working, but you're not going to be competing against each other. That's the nice thing. There's so much business to go around. Is I think we all worry I'm going to be competing. In my 12 years, I've gone up against an agent at this market center once on a listing appointment, and neither of us took the listing. We both got off for the listing. I think it was over in Canyon Creek. They wanted like $750 for it, and we both thought it was worth maybe $600. And so we both turned it down. I called them when they called me, and I was like, "Hey Jeff, I think I'm gonna turn this down. I think they just going goes. They called me too." And I was like, wonder who they called first, but not gonna worry about that. Not gonna worry about that.
Since I got access to MLS yesterday, last night, I started playing with it, and so I looked at the builders, and I only found 2 houses. So in our area, there's there's 72 listings that are vacant.
Okay.
Then I looked at my neighborhood, and there's only 4 houses that are vacant that are all builds from Megatel.
Okay.
So if based on what you said earlier this week, that means they've got an agent
that represents their builder.
That represents them.
Yep. That means if nobody else is on there, then
I didn't see all the other builders, and I didn't see any of their houses.
The stat, if a builder goes, why would we want to be on the MLS? Well, 92% of agents or 92% of buyers were represented by a real estate professional in 2019. So if I'm not on the MLS, theoretically, I'm possibly missing 92% of my buyer pool, because we as agents know we search on the MLS. I very rarely start hunting for sale by owners unless literally we've exhausted everything on the MLS. We've either seen it or said we don't want to see it. Then I'll start, going in. Probably Should I be looking more aggressively for sale by owners? Absolutely. But the reality is I've worked with hundreds of agents and very few use anything outside of the MLS to search for homes. And so if I'm meeting with a FSBO, I'm meeting with a builder, anybody that's not using the MLS, you're missing out on a huge pool of buyers, because not only is my marketing strategy, and when we meet with sellers, one of the things I explain to them, especially if I'm up against another agent, is I'll ask, did the agent you met with, Mike, I know you and your family had another agent last night, did that agent discuss with you their plan towards marketing towards other agents? They didn't. So they only talk about marketing consumers. Well, something you should keep in mind, Mike, is that 92% of all buyers are represented by an agent. The qualified buyers typically already have an agent who's helping them find a home. Not only are we going to proactively market your home towards the actual home buyers, we're going to market towards the agents that we already know have qualified buyers that are looking for homes today. Does that sound like something that would be helpful to get your home sold? And that, what I did at the end, is what we call a tie-down. I want him to affirm that, yes, this is a good thing. Yes, that would be a benefit. All at open houses, I'll always ask, Kevin, it sounds like you guys are just getting your home search started. I've got a great first-time home buyers guide. I'd love to send that over to you in an email. Would that be of value to you? Why? No.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, everybody online. But that way, I know that's a value. It's a first-time home buyer's guide or a home buyer's guide for somebody that's about to buy a house. Who's going to say, nah, really, we know everything. We couldn't possibly use any assistance or help with that. And so you're asking what you assume are pretty obvious questions, but you want to tie them down. In other words, get them to commit to that answer. So that's something, if I need to, I can go back to. I'm going to go grab our printout for today.
Breakfast has been, except keep one of them, I like bakery next to where I'm at. And I'm like, I just bring some for,
Oh, I'm a mess.
and I know it needs some.
I'm very messy.
After I got some muffins for everybody.
I'm so good for
Oh,
you.
Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Aaron?
So.
Michael.
So passing out Spark 5 today, but we're gonna really go back to Spark 3 because we were running a little behind. Veronica and teaching database yesterday. And just a heads up, we are off on Monday. So Monday is Martin Luther King Day. Great day to go volunteer if you got nothing to do on Monday. Volunteering is a great way to go out and meet people. If you're looking to grow your database and want to just give back, it's a 2-for-1 right there. That's why I always enjoy opportunities to volunteer, because selfishly, I feel good. We did a lot of work over the holidays with the Salvation Army, the North Texas Food Bank. I go home on those days just feeling good about life. And then I turn on the news and I don't feel so good all of a sudden really quickly. So some days if you're tired of watching the news, go out and help. It truly, when the quarantine started up in Seattle, we were locked down. And that was the one thing going on, was still opportunities to go give back in the community. And so I spent quite a few days because there was just nothing else to do. We literally, everything else up there was shut down. It's still very interesting to see my friends up there and what life is like in the Pacific Northwest compared to what it's like on a daily basis down here. I saw an article yesterday that the Seattle Seahawks are the only NFL team that did not have a player test positive for COVID. And while I'm sure they did a lot within the organization, I think a lot also has to do with the city they were in. That city takes it at a different level of seriousness than we might in North Texas. But so no class on Monday. However, I'm available. So if anybody wants to get together, kind of powwow, start working on your business plan, I'd be happy to meet you guys either via Zoom or I can meet you up here. I'm about 10 minutes away. I'll probably sleep in that day, so maybe no 9 a.m. appointments, but starting at 10, I'm more than happy to meet you. How's everybody online doing today?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
It's Friday. We got some sunshine out. Should be a good weekend. Those of you who's got something good going on this weekend? Anybody starting to work with home buyers, home sellers, doing open houses? What you got going on?
My wife uncovered a lead. We're going to exercise it this afternoon.
There you go. There you go. What's it, a lead or a leak?
Lead.
Lead, I was like, that sounds, a leak doesn't sound fun.
No, these aren't up on, they cost money.
Awesome, buyer lead?
It's a buyer, yes.
Awesome, awesome. So I'll be doing some showings out in Arlington, it looks like this weekend. One of the things we can go over this afternoon, maybe before we end, is open houses. We do a whole class on it, but I know some of y'all are ready to get rocking and rolling, and so we'll try to cover it at the end. If we don't, and you're interested in doing open houses moving forward next week, get with me in one-on-one. I can kind of catch you up on how to properly do that. There's a way when you hold an open house for another agent, you want to present yourself and you want to make sure you follow up, and certain little things you want to do when it's somebody else's listing to make sure that you get the opportunity to do it again. So before we dive into the material today, I thought I wanted to show you guys a video I made about 5 years ago, just to show you how smooth and technically savvy I am. This was a video I shot. I had an out-of-town buyer. I think they were coming from Massachusetts at the time. They were looking for homes. So they would send me an address and I would go out and kind of do a preview for them. So this video was me shooting the neighborhood. And I was using, at the time, I had an iPad with a keyboard, and that's how I was filming. So I want you to know I'm holding it like this, my camera. So it wasn't a handheld camera. I was holding a laptop, and this is what happened. Oh, let's share the screen so that everyone online can see it.
28 Pristine Pond. Get an idea kind of how these houses are together.
So you see it, but I sure didn't. So look, real estate can be a dangerous business, guys. Be careful out there. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt trying to film videos for clients. So yeah, it was one of my smoother moments. I've had a few. My first home showing ever, it was one of my parents' clients. They were out to dinner or something on a Saturday evening, so I had to go show for them. And I didn't pay attention to the showing instructions. So when you book the showing through Showing Time, you're given showing instructions. You're going to want to key those instructions. Really read them and make sure you keep them on you. So I not only didn't read them, I didn't have a printout of it, and go to the house, open the door with the key, and hear that beep. Realizing pretty quickly, oh crap, there's an alarm set. So I had a brand new smartphone. I was new to real estate, got myself my first smartphone. So I was starting to try to pull up, and I dropped the phone, and it breaks. And I can't get it to turn back on. And I know in about 5 seconds what's going to happen. And sure enough, 5 seconds later, the alarm goes off. It was a monitored alarm. The good news was we realized that house must be located very close to a police station. Man, they were there in about 2 minutes. And so that was quite a lot of egg on my face. I had to eventually get a hold of the listing agent to get the alarm turned off, paid the trip fee to have the police come out. It was just not my smoothest moment. And that was day one in real estate. So as long as you don't have the cops show up on your first showing, you're doing better than I am. So I see we have cool stuff up here. No one has shown me how to use it, so I'm not going to mess with it. But so those of you online, you may not be able to see my face when I'm behind the computer. There's, I think, a giant light in front of me. I'm sure at some point I will learn to use it so you can see my pretty face all lit up. All right, so we're going to dive in today. And we're going to try to knock out session 3 before our break, and then kind of zoom into setting goals that matter, kind of to wrap up the day. And I'm okay if we don't finish the whole set your goals that matter. Look, it's kind of like when on Monday we talked about your big why, and we're supposed to spend 10 minutes working on our big why and coming up with it. That's ridiculous. Like, it should be a little bit more meaningful than at 10:30 in the morning when you're not really paying attention and not really expecting it to be told, hey, you got to figure out what you want the rest of your life to look like, and then you need to write it down. Same thing with your goals. I don't expect you in the class to immediately know something you want to give thought to, because it's whether your goal is financial or what you want your life to look like, we tie the other one together. So if you know you want to make $150,000 this year. Why? You know, I have agents I meet with you guys, and I ask you for your goal, and we start working on your business plan, and some agents will throw a number out at me. And the first question I have, why? Why that number? Did it just sound good, or is there actual, like, this will allow my life to look like this if I get this amount? It will allow me to pay off my debt. It will allow me to send my kid to college. It will allow me to take the vacation I want. Put meaning behind it. And so that's not something you come up with in 15 minutes in a group activity at the market center. It's something that should take a little bit of personal reflection. Something you may want to talk to your family about. Nothing will get you more buy-in than bringing your family in. Those of you with kids, you know, great way to keep your kids motivated is set a goal based off of your production that they have a victory in. In other words, hey, I sell 10 houses between now and October, we're going to Disneyland. If your kids are Disneyland fans. You want a good accountability partner? Tell a kid that if I sell homes, we're going to Disneyland. I promise you, every morning on the way to school, in the car, the kid's going to be going, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, have you sold a home yet today? Because I really want to go to Disneyland. Now, if they're a little bit older, throw something like that in there and make sure that they understand they can help you get to that goal. I was incentivized from about the age of 16 on to send referrals to my mother. When I lived in Austin, if I wanted beer money, best way for me to get that was to send my mom the name of a friend whose parents or a friend that was about to buy a property. Being that I was 18, not a lot of my friends were, but a lot of their parents were. I made sure they knew that if, hey, you want me to buy the beer, I'll buy it. You got to let me know if your parents are ever up and playing on the side of the move. And so that was where, you know, legally, you're only allowed to give a $50 gift. However, if it's your family, that can be allowance. So I think it was $500 at the time of closing. For an 18-year-old, that was pretty sweet. That was a lot of cheap Keystone Light. So in Wendy's. I was really excited when I moved to Austin, and the Wendy's there was 24 hours a day. So those late nights, I could go get that single with cheese and ketchup only, and a Sprite with no ice, and a Biggie French fry. But then Wendy's changed their fries, and I'm not as big a fan anymore. The skin on, sea salt. I don't want it to taste like a real potato. I want an artificially created French fry with that just perfect flavor. So
Just ate theirs the other day, and I think they referred it back.
have they?
I think so.
I might have to go buy Wendy's again. And especially the like soggy ones at the bottom of the bag. They were so good. They had that, they kind of took on the taste of the bag, but at 3 a.m. after a few brews, that seemed to taste really good. I don't know. Maybe just me. Maybe just me. It's amazing the things you'll eat after a few drinks. So that's why I don't drink much anymore. Got it all out of my system down in Austin those years. So I know Kevin was telling us something good. He's been sending out Facebook messages and is starting to get replies. Mike, I saw your post yesterday. Get over, I think, like 50 comments on there. Boom. Anybody? So, and I brought out the handwritten note cards yesterday. I noticed some were missing, so I hope you guys took some. I'll go get the stats today and put them out as well. Any of those folks you have a personal address for, that's a great reason to pop a thank you note. I just want to tell you, it means a lot when you say congratulations, it's a new career for me. I'm excited on one hand, but yet on the other, I'm scared. And it means a lot to me to know I've got people like you in my community that got my back. And that right there ties them in, man. That's how you create clients for life. Little touches like that. One of the things, and so speaking of those handwritten notes, one of the things I learned early from an agent I went to high school with, who's a rock star over at Dallas Preston Road, Seychelles Van Pool. They do what they call a 5-5-5 on social media. It is 5 comments, 5 likes, and 5 direct messages a day. It's very time locked in. They're in, they're out, 20 minutes on social media, 5 comments, 5 likes, 5 direct messages. They're done for the day. Well, we added a 4th 5 on there. And every week as I would see posts, like I might see Mike post that he's got a new job and 63 people go on there and they write congratulations. I would take a Post-it note and write Mike's job and put it on my computer screen. And on Fridays, I would typically have about 5 of those Post-it notes. Somewhere, somebody got a new job. Maybe it was unfortunately somebody's grandparents died, or their pet passed away, or they got a promotion at work. Anything that was a noteworthy event that I saw people congratulating them on or sending condolences on Facebook, instead of maybe just writing congratulations on his page, is I put that little Post-it note, and at the end of the week, I wrote an actual little note to him.
Because I figured, you know, it's awesome 63 people went on his post and said congratulations. I'm gonna take a wild guess, not many of them are gonna pop a note in the mail. But it sure would mean something if they did, wouldn't it? You'd be like, damn, that was really nice. And so those little human touches can make such a huge difference. And so I know the notes is of all the things on your daily 10-4, that's the one that the numbers are always a little low on. Because I think a lot of us don't even write anything by hand these days. One of my recommendation is a larger pen so that it's nice and thick writing, doesn't have to be 20 sentences. You can fill that page up pretty quickly with just a quick note. It shouldn't take you more than 2 to 3 minutes. The hardest part for me of writing the handwritten envelopes is the damn address. I don't know why, I've just never been a fan of writing addresses. I never noticed the comma go after the city before the state. Does it go after the state before the zip code? Do I put it in both? Do I just not put it because I'm not sure which one? Like, I just get very confused. So anyways, enough of that. Let's hop in and get rocking and rolling. Anybody else got anything good you want to share before we get going today? Nobody? Nothing good in anybody's world? How about online? You guys got anything good going on?
Yeah, I have a listing meeting for a house that will be listed around 900,000.
Well, how about them apples? I'd say, where'd you get the lead?
Well, I was on Instagram, and it was actually my cousin, and she mentioned that she's building a house out in Salina, where her family lives. And so I gave her a call right after I saw it, and I asked her if she had a listing agent and if I could represent her.
Excellent.
Boom, that easy, man. Man,
I mean, I felt, you know, I still probably should. I'm trying to win her business still, so she'll be my first listing.
rock and roll, and that's awesome. It's family, you know, somebody that you already earned that trust and level of respect from, and now it's just you put on a new hat as a real estate professional, and have an awesome opportunity to help them so that they can get to their new construction home on time. So rock and roll. If you need any help with getting prepared for that listing presentation, feel free to shoot me.
Yeah, I'm talking with Laura after this meeting, but she actually is, they're moving into like a house they're flipping in Salina while their house is being built. So she's looking to list her house in March, and then they're moving to a flip house, which they'll eventually sell. So hopefully I'm hoping to capitalize on that one as well.
Nothing beats a 2-for-1 listing special.
Right? Thank you.
Go rock it. Anybody else got anything they want to share? All right, then the goal is by the time we meet on Tuesday, go find something good to share. Go out, start having those conversations with people. Get yourself in that good kind of trouble. Get it over your head. This is how you learn in this business. You get yourself, look, I've worked with like a 1031 exchange. I had no idea what the hell it was when the guy started talking. He's like, well, I got a 1031 exchange, $1.2 million in it. And I'm just nodding my head. Yeah, sounds good. Sweet. Yeah, no, definitely we can help you with that. First thing I did when I left that meeting was call my dad. Hey, Kim, A, what is a 1031, and B, is that something I can actually help this guy with? So those of you who don't know what a 1031 exchange is, because I learned, so when you sell an investment property, you are able to put that money into a 1031 exchange. It's basically like a tax account that they hold that money, and you can go out and there's a set amount of days, 90, 180, 180 is typically the top end, to where you can find a new investment property and take that money and put into it without paying capital gains tax. I saw an agent on Lab Coat this morning. You never know if these people are for real. Some people like to exaggerate a little. But she was asking who has multifamily properties because she has a client with a $250 million 1031 exchange. So it sounds like they probably have some big investments and have sold them and are looking to put them into. Sometimes it's they're moving from multifamily into single family. A lot of times it's single family investors that are looking to move into the multifamily. Sometimes they're just trying to trade out their investments and move locations. But so stuff like that, you're going to come across that and never turn down that business. It's an opportunity to learn. If whether, you know, like say you get a short sale and you have no idea what the heck they are. We have agents here at this market center, 2 of them that I know of off the top of my head, Lisa Vargas and Sally Morrow, who have specialized in short sales. So my first short sale, I called Sally and I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. Would you be willing to go 50-50 and teach me? Now, you could refer it out, it's certainly an option. I wanted to learn, so I asked if she would team up. We're about to put on the calendar a class on being a residential agent. Which is, I have my residential, but every now and then you're gonna come across commercial. I can promise you, typically, every year, you're gonna have one or two commercial opportunities, just clients you're working with on the residential side who may mention offhand, by the way, if you can find me, we're looking for about a 10,000 square foot warehouse for an auto shop. Instead of saying, well, I don't do commercial, couple options. I can walk right on down and refer them. Typically these days, that's what I do, is I only specialize in residential. I can't teach you commercial. I don't know it very well. So for me, I got enough on my plate. I go and hand it over to the commercial department and take a 25% referral fee. I know in November, we gave one of our agents, Adele Trejo, I think it was like a $35,000 referral check from a commercial deal he had referred over there. You may also team up with them and go 50-50 and learn a little bit more about commercial, especially if you think that's something based on your database. You may have a database that's gonna be a little bit more commercial heavy. Then it would be worth it to go learn and team up with one of those folks. Maybe you get a monster listing opportunity that you know what, I don't know that I'm ready to sell a $5 million house. Also, we do have agents in here that are very, very experienced doing that. Team up, let's co-list this home. Nothing wrong with asking for help. We used to, before the pandemic, on the first day, I would have made you guys do this really stupid activity where I gave everybody an Oreo and I made you put it on your forehead and we gave away a prize for whoever could get the Oreo from your forehead to your mouth and eat it without using your hands. And at first I was only doing the exercise because I wanted to laugh at everyone to get my day started because I'm just an asshole. But I quickly learned there's actually a lesson behind this because it was the first class, nobody did it. The second time I did it, about 2 minutes in, I see an agent look to the girl to her left and says, you're all strangers on day one. And she just goes, will you take that off my head and put it in my mouth? And so the person next to him, because I didn't say you couldn't use your neighbors, that you cannot use your hands. And then I realized there's a lesson here. Man, real estate, ask for help. Nobody knows it all. We all had to learn it. And we all have a first time for this, a first time for that. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, I got an opportunity. I don't know exactly how to complete the opportunity. Who can help me? And we're going to find those resources so that you can learn and have the opportunity come to fruition. We never want you to turn down business. It's always opportunity, whether you can handle it or not. If we decide, we can always refer it out. We can always team you up with another agent, or we can always work one-on-one to make sure you can handle that opportunity on your own. So you don't know everything, none of us do. The best way to get in this business is go get in that good kind of trouble. That man, I just talked to my cousin, wants to list a $900,000 house. We haven't gone over listings in Ignite. What are we gonna do? She's working with Laura on the coaching side, so she's gonna have that opportunity to meet one-on-one and get the skills. So way to go, Courtney. So over the weekend, have that goal of over between now and Tuesday, go out, find something good. Go get into conversations you're maybe a little scared for. You got support. I'm around all weekend. Don't mind taking calls late at night. Don't mind taking calls early in the morning. So take advantage of knowing you've got that support behind you. Give subtitles a try. Well, I don't want to do that. Rock and roll. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about growing your business. We're going to spend the first part of the day talking about scripts. Like I said, the first time we mentioned scripts, I really hate the term script. I love scripts. Probably my strongest skill in real estate is my ability to parrot. I can hear really good agents give really good scripts and I can kind of internalize them and spit them back. I think a lot of that comes from being a bartender and a waiter. When I was 18, I worked at Saltgrass. Saltgrass is a really good place to go learn how to wait tables. They don't hire experienced agents or waiters. They typically only hire new folks so that they can train you. It's a 10-day training course. And boy, they really make you work on your spiel. But your spiel is nothing but a script. How you sell, you pick the item you'd like to focus on and create a whole description around it and you spiel it to your table. And I happen to work with a guy who had been doing it for a long time, so I really emphasize that. And I think that's maybe where my script's at and coming. I had a theater background all the way through college. where you actually have a script. But scripts in real estate are really just knowing what you want to say, the way you want to say it to get the results you're looking to get. It's how you can control a conversation. The more important part of scripts are actually the questions. By asking questions, you're able to move the direction of the conversation where you would like to go. I think especially as new agents, sometimes we want to word vomit on clients. We want to, I'm new, so I feel like I got to show them I know everything. And so we try to tell them everything we know about real estate in our 5 minutes of meeting with them, instead of really just having a conversation with folks, asking good questions so that I can understand their needs. I was talking with another coach yesterday about listing presentations, and I asked her, I go, what presentation are you using to train? And she goes, I don't bring one. And I go, okay, it's not just me. Most of my listings, I have a presentation, I send it to them. I very rarely go over it, because ultimately what I'm doing when I go meet with a buyer or a seller is have a conversation with them. When I can understand their needs and really pull out what they're looking to get out of this, whether it's selling, what is the motivation, why are they wanting to sell, what happens if they can't sell, what's the ultimate goal, where do they need to be, when do they want to be there. With a buyer, it's really understanding what they're looking for. Why is that important? Asking clarifying questions. Example I love to give is, if you work with a buyer and they say, we'd like a big backyard. But that can mean so many different things. If it's somebody that moved down from New York City, a big backyard to them is literally grass. Like, I can walk outside and see grass. If they grew up out in West Texas on a ranch, a big backyard in Texas might be 40 acres and a mule. Like, so you got to understand, why do they want the big? Well, we're going to have a couple farm animals with, okay, so you're talking big backyard. Or, we want our dog to be able to go outside and do his business. Okay, well, that's a little bit different. It's understanding, and you get that by questions. So questions really are scripts that help you get the information you need so you can get the result that you'd like. So that's what we're going to concentrate on today, is the script side of real estate. Obviously, we all know, without leads. Thank you, man. Boy, Friday, you guys are out of it. Without leads, nothing else matters. Do I need to learn scripts if I'm never going to have a lead? Probably not. Do you need to learn any of this if you're never going to do any lead generation? Probably not. If we're not going to lead generate, then none of this is going to matter. But hopefully we're all pretty well aware that lead generation is our first job every day. That we're in two businesses, the business of lead generation, then secondly, the business of real estate. Because if I don't do the first business, then I don't get the opportunity to do the second business. And I know most of us did not go to real estate school to get into the business of lead generation, but you're in it. Learn to embrace it. Let's make it fun. Let's make it a challenge. Do it as a game. When I was in constant production, I made it fun. For every 20 phone calls I made, I used to keep a TV with a Nintendo Wii with Mario Kart on it. So I would do 20 phone calls and I would play a little bit of Mario Kart, and 20 phone calls and a little bit of Mario Kart. Little kind of just fun way for me to kind of keep on keeping on. Mario Kart's probably the only video game I can play these days. The new games where you have to use 2 joysticks, and like, man, my guy's always just shooting the ceiling in those games where my buddies are just popping me over and over. So video games have long since passed me by, but Mario Kart I can absolutely wreck shop in. So today we're continuing to focus on growing our business. In the next couple of weeks, we'll really get into running our business. So lead generate from buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations, make buyer presentations, and preview real estate. So the purpose of scripts. Who do you guys think the purpose of scripts are?
You know which question to ask. So this way, you know what their needs are, and then actually do research afterwards.
Exactly.
See if it's possible, if it's not possible.
It's asking the right questions. It's knowing how to give the right answer. Answers that move the conversation in the direction you want. Answers that don't scare folks off, but inform them. you know, sometimes we're having tough conversations with folks that aren't easy to have, but I don't want to scare them away from the transaction. But at the same time, we have to be real with folks and give them the honest truth. Make sure they understand, you know, so some of the tough conversations, had a client that gave me their search criteria, but there was nothing there. Their search criteria just didn't exist. They were looking for, we want new construction, we want it in Plano, and we want it for $300,000. Let's let a tough conversation tell them that's not an option. Joe and I were talking yesterday, and we'll go over when we go with the buyers, there's a triangle, and I'll draw it out. Something to keep in mind, those of you working with buyers, and really working with sellers, there is a triangle. Price, condition, location.
We can't see.
I will make that happen for you guys. That's for them. Where's marker? They can see it. Price, condition, location. It's a fundamental thing. So it's worth going a little off topic. Price, location, and condition. I tell my buyers, you get to choose two. Third one's made up for you. What does that mean? So buyer in this situation wants a $300,000 home and they want new condition. They want a brand new build. Well, the location's pretty much chosen for them. There's only so many places you can find a new construction home for $300,000 today. You can't find one in Plano. So if they then told me, well, no, what's most important to us is living in Plano and having a new construction house, well, then guess what? Price is kind of determined. There's homes in Plano that are new construction start, what little there is in terms of new construction in Plano starts easily at the $500,000 and up mark. So for most of my clients, this one, price is decided. Most of them go meet, very few of my clients have unlimited resources. So price is typically one that they don't get to make the choice on because they've gone to speak to a lender and the lender said you're pre-approved up to. Now they may choose not to spend all that money. That's not uncommon. I have folks that, you know, I've worked with an investor who we'd have, you know, $1 million pre-approval letter, but we'd write offers on $200,000 houses. You didn't want to spend it all. It's totally fine. But most of my clients, the price is kind of already determined. Then it's a choice of which of those two matters the most to you. Is it we have to be in Plano? Awesome. Well, $300,000 in Plano will buy you a certain type of home. It's a pretty nice house. You'll live in a good neighborhood. There's not going to be new construction. If what's most important to them is we want a brand new build home, well, then we're probably, if we're wanting to stay in the Collin County area, we're probably heading up north to the Anna. Few areas of Little Elm, you can still get in under $300,000. Could you move to Prosper for $300,000 new construction? No, probably not. So keep that in mind, and I'll literally draw that out with my buyers. And that is a script of literally, and then all right, price sounds like we've already kind of met with the lender and we're pre-approved you, and we'll write that down. And then I go, so what's going to be the most important to you two? Is it going to be the location or the condition? Well, we really want to be in a good school district. Awesome. Then we'll write down the 5 or 6 cities that they list, and I'll go beautiful. Now I'll show you what you can get for $500,000 in those 3 cities. And so that's important to understand with those buyers.
Question: if someone were to say, I want to be in a good school district, and they say, because they have young kids, so they're coming new to the area, can you guide them in regards to what area has good schools?
Schools, you can provide factual information based off of like school rankings and stuff like that, and you can give them that information. It's very similar to like the crime. You're gonna get that question. I don't make any suggestions. I send them the data. I go out and I'll pull it off of the city demographics and exactly. I'll send them to the right sources so that they can make their own. I don't want to tell them, because I don't know when you say good schools, what's most important to you. You got a kid that's a football player. You know, I had a bunch of buddies when we were growing up in Plano that they transferred to the time it was prosper because you could play up there. You went to Plano, my graduating class was 2,200. Like playing on, it was easier for me to make the Collin County Community College baseball team than it was to make my high school team. Like way less competition, which was kind of weird. Playing like junior college baseball was easier to make than my high school team. Because the high school team, man, there's only 20 spots on that team. There were 2,000 kids at that school. You had to be pretty damn good baseball player, like me, at least able to catch a ball, couldn't hit a curveball to save my life. That became a real problem in college. But it was easier to make it up there. So I had friends that moved to smaller places so that they would have the opportunity to play sports. So while the schools were important to those parents, it was for totally different reasons than you might automatically assume. Maybe you got a kid that's in the fine arts. There are certain districts that have much better arts programs. Dallas, for example, while the schools maybe aren't considered some of the best, they're getting better. Man, if your kid's going to Booker T. Washington, that's one of the best arts high schools in the country. But I mean, when you look at their list of alumni, it's pretty freaking impressive, the people that have gone to that school. So it's understanding, so the only way, and that's a script way, is the work. So when you say schools, what do you mean? What's most important for you, Mike, and your family? Well, we got a young kid who's a musician and he really wants to go to the Juilliard School of Music at some point, or maybe even NYU. So we really want to put him on a good path to do that. Great, and we're going to be looking for something totally different than somebody that's got a kid that wants to go to Harvard and become a scientist and really needs a school district with a really strong science department. So it's really understanding someone's needs to be able to help get them in the right direction. And the schools here are so diverse. Almost every district has something they do really well. So it's helping understand their needs so that we can help put them in the right direction.
And the state does put out some report cards, are available there. And the town of McKinney, or the city of McKinney, also puts out a community newsletter, paper, and they always publish the annual rankings of all the schools in their district. So there's information there.
Yep, most cities will publish their crime stats. There's also websites that will compile all the cities. You know, what crime stats are you most worried about? You know, if I'm a single female, maybe there's a few statistics in crime that I'm more concerned about than if I'm, a guy. There are things that I don't consider that my female clients absolutely have to keep in mind. Sucks that we live in a world where that can be the case, but that's the reality. And I never question any of my clients' realities, even if I think they're badass crazy, because it's their truth, it's what they live with, and that's the thing. It's the same thing with like objections. So we're going to get into objections. Objection handling is a part of script. The first way to handle any objection is to affirm it. Nothing will cause issues that if you tell me an objection, well, we don't want to pay your commission, that price. And I say, well, you're just crazy, man. I'm worth every dime. No, my answer is, Mike, I can completely understand that and I respect that. Help me understand what's concerning about the commission is ultimately that when you sell your home, you're hoping to net the most amount of money. Is that correct? Beautiful. Well, then let me walk you through how I'm actually, with my proactive marketing, the way we are going to get your home out and sold in the least amount of time, you're going to also be able to net you the most amount of money while still protecting my 3% commission. Would that be, can I get 5 minutes to do that? Beautiful. But he knows I'm hearing him. Parroting back, the big guy on the radio I listened to, Mike Reiner, who used to be on The Ticket, and that was something they make fun of him, but he always parrots back what he hears so that people understand I'm listening. You can be as obvious as, so what I'm hearing you say is that blank, blank, and blank are most important to you, so that they know I'm listening. That's the biggest thing in real estate, especially year one. Like I said, we like to word vomit all over people instead of allowing them to talk. And a script doesn't have to be many words. My best open house script, really the only one I use at an open house. So do you live in the area? And then I just stand back and get out the way because they will tell you their whole story. They walk in, I greet somebody at the front door. Hey, Hunter Wiley, Keller Williams, 3 beds, 2 baths, priced at $250. Just hit the market on Friday of this week. Home was built in 1997. Really renovated it in 2019. We've got a new roof, new AC. Kitchen's been completely redone as well as the master bathroom. If you guys have any questions, let me know. That's my script up front. Kind of just quick facts for them. Then I kind of just get out of their way, let them start chewing the house. And then as they walk through, the script I use is, so do you guys currently live in the area? Because they're going to, at that point, let me know, yes, we live in the neighborhood. We're just kind of wanting to check out our neighbor's house. Beautiful potential listing. They're scouting you, whether they know it or not, whether you know it or not, they're scouting you. You are impressive, you're well put together, you've got good graphics, you're open house, you look the part, you've marketed that home well, that's giving them an impression. If you're, sitting down, walked into an open house 2 weekends ago, the girl was reading a book, walked in, this is $1 million house, had an actual buyer with me, and she just goes, hey, he went right back to her book. Like, my client didn't even want to continue walking through the house. He's like, I don't want to buy a house from that. Like, no, we're good. Like, it was like she was a prisoner being held there. Not a very good script, hey. So do you guys currently live in the area? They're either gonna let me know, yep, we live in the neighborhood. No, we live in Dallas, but we're in a condo and we're looking to find some more land. This last year, being cramped up in 800 square feet, it has just killed us. My house in Seattle, they had behind us while we were living there, they built a 24-unit condo complex. There were less than 750 square feet. And man, during that first couple of months of the pandemic, I felt so bad for those people. And they were just being in their little house. It was raining, it's cold out there, so you really can't go outside much. And they're just in that, there's such tight quarters. Whereas, most of the year in Seattle, you're walking around, the city's alive and well, all of a sudden they lock down, people's priorities have changed. So they're going to let you know, hey, we live in Dallas, but we're thinking about moving up to the suburb. Or, hey, we're from Chicago. My husband just got a job opportunity down here. We don't know if we're going to take it. We're just getting a feel. But then I can dive into the rest of my questions. That's where I then start actually talking. And the second I ask that question in an open house, this little open house tip, I have 2 copies of my sign-in sheet. I immediately take one, flip it over. I start taking notes. I have found taking notes is one of the best things I've done to create the dialogue I'm looking for. All of a sudden, when I start taking notes, it gives me that professional, they realize like I am the professional here. I'm listening to you. I'm literally putting the information on paper. And all of a sudden, they kind of get a little closer to you at the kitchen counter and we'll have a 5-minute conversation and I'll do a mini needs analysis, finding out what they're looking for. The game I'm always playing at open house with my scripts by asking questions is I'm playing a game. I'm playing you, what information or item of value can I provide you in exchange for your information? Great, Kevin, it sounds like you guys are really just getting started on your home search. What I'd love to do is I've got a great home buyer's guide. My clients, whether they're first-time home buyers or buying their 10th home, have all found it to be pretty helpful. I'd love to send that over to you. What's the best email to get that to? Boom, and I manually sign them in. Hey, Aaron, it sounds like I got a really good idea of what you and your boyfriend are looking for, or husband or wife or girlfriend, what you guys are looking for. It's 2021, you never know what you guys are looking for. What I'd love to do, I know you said you were looking for homes on Zillow, but that you mentioned that sometimes you find homes that have actually already sold that are still listed as active. So what I'd love to do is set you up on a search through our multiple listing service. That's actually the website that we as real estate agents input our listings to, that sites like Zillow take that information from. That way, as soon as homes hit the market, you'd be notified. What would be the best email to send that to? You get your email, next scripted question. Beautiful. And I'd love to follow up with you on Monday to just make sure I'm sending you the right homes. What's the best number to reach you at? That's all a script. It's, man, if you watch me at an open house, every client's going to hear a very similar script. When I was a waiter, little stupid script I would use if I worked at Breadwinners, tended to be a lot of housewives. It was the Plano location that would come after like tennis matches and stuff. So anytime I had somebody with a foreign accent, British accent, I'd always ask, you from West Texas? They'd always laugh, oh my God, love now, I'm from across the pond. Are you sure? That sounds like a Lubbock accent if you ask me. So it's little stupid things like that, but that's a script. I say it every time. My best friend, he's a comedian. Travels the country doing comedy. Practices and puts more time into it than most agents I know put into their profession. We all have the dedication he has, it'd be pretty cool. But he won't tell you this because he doesn't think of it like this. All he's doing is a script on stage. It's just script. He knows what to say, how to say it, when to say it to get the reaction he wants. Well, the reaction he wants is laughter. The reaction we want is him to sign an agreement, to sign that buyer's rep, to sign that listing agreement, to write an offer, to accept the amendment that we got from the other side. When you go over an offer with your sellers, how you phrase things, how you talk about that offer will affect how they feel about it. If you're real negative, they're gonna be negative. You're real positive, even if the offer's got some warts, but you kind of highlight the good things, say we can maybe negotiate these other things, you can determine how they're gonna react to that offer. Things we've got to keep in mind, we want to keep our emotions out of it. That's one of the biggest tasks as a real estate agent is we pull the emotion out. That's kind of one of our main services. If the buyer and seller work together, if it was a FSBO and a buyer, they can get pretty tense at each other. It's not uncommon that even for the dumbest reasons, my buyers end up hating the sellers end up hating the buyers. I don't know why it happens. They view each other as enemies sometimes. Part of me thinks that's the language that's maybe being used by the agents in the deal. I probably bear some responsibility for that sometimes. Maybe I'm making comments about the other side that I don't really think much about, but that my client hears and they like me, and so they get supportive of me. So you got to pull your emotions out of it. That's no scripts will allow you to do that. So scripts help you lead generate, uncover motivations, identify objections, close deals, speak in terms the customer understands, and build confidence. So lead generate. Obviously, when I'm going to get on the phone, I kind of want to know what the heck I'm going to say. When you go watch some of these big teams, so we're going to show you where your script book is in your drive folder. But some of these big teams, they'll have them printed up, laminated, and they keep them on like one of those folding kind of binders that sits on top of your desk. So that as they're calling, they literally, even though they use the same script every day, they've been doing it for 5 years. I got a buddy up in Portland. He's been an ISA, inside sales agent, does all the calling for his team. He's been doing that for, I think, 15 years now. You think he knows his script? Yeah. Does he still have them in front of him every single day he makes the calls? Absolutely. You know, every time I call an internet lead, it's the same script. I've modified it over the years as I've seen it, you know, sometimes I get results, sometimes, so I can modify it. But it's a basic version of the same script I've been using for 10 years. Uncover motivations. You know, the more I can understand the why behind what they're hoping to do, the more that I can use that motivation. We use something called like pain versus pleasure. So Mike tells me he's got a new job up in Denver, and that's why he's selling his house. And he wants to have the family up there by the beginning of the summer. Great. So I know what the pleasure is that we get your home sold, Mike, and we get you up to Denver. But how I can play into the pain. So Mike, I just got to ask if we don't sell the home and it's June 1st and you still have a home here, what's the plan? Will the whole family move with you to Denver? Will you guys have both houses? Will the family be down in Texas while you're up in Denver working? Well, I hadn't really thought about that. I'm helping them understand there's two sides to this coin. If we price our home correctly, then we got you guys all up in Denver. You're maybe getting to hopefully the world's back to normal. You can be sitting in the Rocky Stadium watching a baseball game in 80-degree weather in the middle of the summer. Or unfortunately, if we overprice the home and we don't get it sold, there's a chance your family's still back here in Texas. You're sleeping up in a hotel up in Denver while you're waiting on getting this thing sold. So I can't do that if I don't know why and what the motivation behind it is. I need to know the motivation so I know whether he's going to be, you know, I've got sellers that literally call me and say, you know, we've got multiple investment properties. We just want to sell one. There is no financial stress. It's just, they just want to sell it if they get the right price. Well, I got to know that. Because that's an unmotivated seller. There's nothing on the line for them. With a client this summer that we picked up a listing, we kind of knew they were unmotivated. And damned if when we didn't go under contract, they just weren't going to do anything to help these buyers out. They ended up saying, you know what, we think we're just going to hold on to it for a year. Our grown son may move back to Texas, so we'd love him to live here. Even though we're moving to Colorado and already have our house up there, we're just going to hold on to it. That's great. Lucky for them, they can move into a $2 million house up in the mountains in Colorado and keep a $750,000 house empty and vacant in Plano and afford it. Must be nice. But we kind of knew that going in, so it wasn't a huge shock when all of a sudden, when it came time to negotiate with the buyer on the house, they just were like, yeah, we're not doing any of that. They had no motivation. They didn't care. We knew that, and that was a risk. And damn if they didn't back out. They made the buyers back out. So in Texas, you do need to understand, and we'll get into the contract starting next week. There are multiple ways for a buyer to get out of a contract. There are almost none for a seller. Once your seller signed off on that dotted line, about the only way to get out is to either default on the contract or just be such assholes that the buyers opt out. And that's what our guys decided to do, was just be such assholes to these buyers. And I felt horrible. This was a young couple. They came to view the house 3 times. They came to one of the open houses I held and spent all 3 hours there, which was weird, but I mean, they just loved this house. It was their dream home. They had been eyeing it for years. And I just had a reasonable sellers. Like, I didn't care about my sellers by the end of it. I cared about the poor buyers. Like, I hope they found a good home. Identifying objections. That's a huge part of the script. Because once I've identified your objections, I then know what to handle. And once I've handled them, then I can go, so Kevin, I know you had said commission was kind of what was holding you up from signing today. I think we've discussed that, and we both agree that paying the 6%, as long as we net you the most amount of money, we're good to go. So is there anything else that would prevent you from signing the listing agreement today? We have isolated what it is he was objecting to, so that now if I can handle that, then he's already told me everything else was good. But one of the scripts is, so Kevin, if I'm hearing you correctly, outside of commission, there's nothing that's preventing you from signing the listing agreement tonight, correct? He'll either say, well, also, we're a little concerned about how you're gonna market the home. Okay, now I know my other objection. Or he's gonna say, yeah, that's pretty much, the only thing holding us back. Beautiful, so if we can work through that, we're good to go. Awesome. And then I go work through that, knock that out. Boom. He's now told me, I'm gonna sign if you can knock that out. I'm gonna use his own words against it. He's not a politician. He'll probably stand up for the words he told me. Politician, you can play a back tape from 2 days ago of what they said. Yeah, that wouldn't be. No, I'm pretty sure that was, bro. Like, it's on tape. No, deep fake. Like, I was actually standing right next to you when you said it. No, don't know what you're talking about. Most humans are not like that, though. So once I know what the objections are, I can handle them. Now, here's something. I use the commission objection because I know in your mind, you're thinking that's probably an objection you're going to get a lot. Almost never get it. People ask how I handle objections. Like, the commission objection, I've got cheap little scripts I'll go over with you. I almost rarely get it. You have the good conversation. You understand their motivation. Very rarely is the commission actually an objection. That's at least my personal experience. For the first time in a long time, my upcoming listing asked me about commission. And I just simply said, we charge a 6% commission, 3% goes to the buyer's agent, 3% to the listing agency. Right, that's what I thought it was. Just wanted to make sure. That's like in the last 5 years, the biggest pushback I've gotten on commission. It's just typically not, we almost psych ourselves out of it. I know agents who will walk their own commission down without ever even being asked. Because it's one, they don't believe that they actually offer good value. And that's that confidence thing. You gotta believe that you actually are worth it. I promise you, once you do a few deals, you will understand it is, well, we get paid according to what we do. We do a hell of a lot. May not seem like it on the surface, but I like to use the analogy of the duck. You see the duck on the water and they're gliding and they just look so graceful. Well, if you look underwater, man, that duck is swimming for dear life. But that's us. I like to look calm and smooth, but man, behind the scenes, I'm dealing with a lot of moving parts. I'm working on getting your repairs scheduled. I'm working on negotiating with the other agent. I'm working on title getting those documents that we need over there. I'm working with your lender to make sure everything's on time for closing. Crap, we got the appraisal coming up. I'm putting the appraisal package together, possibly getting on the phone with the appraiser, talking about the numbers with the appraiser. Like, there's a lot going on. For every easy deal I have, I just had my easiest deal in probably the last 5 years, a couple of weeks ago, and I know that means my next 10 deals are just going to be nightmares. This is the karma there. Like, there's no way it won't equal out in the end. Close deals. Closing is, for a lot of real estate agents, it's the skill that maybe we struggle with the most, but here's the good thing. Did you hear the word I said? What is closing? It's a skill. What is a skill? That's something I can practice and get better at. There are multiple different styles. I'm an assumptive closer. That's my natural style. It's great, Kevin. Sounds like we both agree. We priced the home at $500,000. We took care of that commission. Outside of that, was there anything else you had any questions on? Beautiful. So the next step tonight is going to be to go ahead and get this listing agreement done. I will go ahead and call the photographer as soon as I get out of here. We'll get the sign in the yard tomorrow morning. Photographer should be out here by Thursday. We'll get the home on the market by Friday next week. So I'm going to plan. I'm assuming he's going to want to work with me. And I just kind of move. I found most people don't like to say no. I just put the plan in front of him. He now has to either say, no, hold up. Or like most people, he's gonna go, oh, okay, that makes sense, sure, yeah, I guess I sign now, yeah, cool. And that's my style. So there's different styles that we'll go over, and you'll find what works best for you, but that's what I love about scripts, especially the close, it's a skill. Skills are something you can practice and improve upon. Is it Malcolm Gladwell that says it takes 10,000 hours to master something? So are you going to be a master of scripts day one? No, you'll get there. Speak in terms the customer understands. So you'll learn to use lingo that the consumer will understand. Notice when I was talking with Aaron about setting you up on a search on the multiple listing service, I did a script is multiple listing service, not MLS. She may or may not, most consumers, know what the MLS is, but a lot do not. So don't use those abbreviations. Don't use those acronyms. You want to use language that the consumer, how I talk to you as a real estate professional and how I talk to my clients is different language. Because I don't know what their level of education in terms of real estate is. I assume most agents, if I say MLS, know what the heck I'm talking about. If I told a client, why don't we go look at some FSBOs? They're looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with you? I could tell you as an agent, hey, I got a client, we're going to look at some FSBOs, and you're, after the first couple of weeks, now you know what FSBO is, a for sale by owner. My clients have no idea. So I need to say, hey, why don't we go see if there aren't any for sale by owner listings that are available in your price point? That's scripting. It's knowing what language to use. And then building confidence. Knowing that I've practiced my scripts, knowing that I've worked on them, means I get into those situations. I'm not just, oh my God. And that's typically what keeps us. My dad used to walk by me when I was coaching, and he would walk by me and just go, 2-1, 2-1. And he was reminding me, God gave me 2 of these and 1 of these. Use them proportionally. I should be listening twice as much as I should be talking. Absolutely when you're working with the client. But when we don't have the confidence, when we haven't practiced our scripts, when we haven't role played with somebody, one of the things I'm going to suggest is that before we go on break is that we partner up and you pick a role play partner, and twice a week you get on the phone and you practice role playing so that you have that confidence, because otherwise you're so worried about the answer you're going to give, you don't listen to what they're saying. You guys ever had a conversation with someone like that? Like it's obvious they're not listening. They're just worried about spitting back the next thing. And so they're not actually taking in what you're saying. It's typically very obvious in a sales situation. And it rubs people the wrong way because you're not reacting to what they're saying. You've already formulated what you're going to say next because you don't have the confidence to be able to bounce depending on their answer. So you've already formulated kind of the answer you're going to give no matter what they say. Whereas a good agent who practices their scripts, role plays, and so by role playing, so say Aaron's my role play partner, hey Aaron, every morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays, let's hop on from 8:15 to about 8:35, and let's roll right into role playing. This week, I'm gonna be calling a lot of internet leads, so I'll start off if you'll be my buyer. And literally, once I've arranged that, I don't even do the chit chat to start off. I'll start the call. Hey, is Aaron there? Hey, Aaron, Hunter Webb, Keller Williams, and movingtobigd.com. How are you this morning? Awesome, great to hear. So I noticed it looked like you were looking at a home over on 123 Main Street. Does that sound familiar? beautiful. While pulling up information about that, can I ask you a few questions about your home, sir? And so she'll know, within about 5 seconds that, okay, I'm playing the buyer today and jump right into it. Then at the end, she'll provide some feedback. Say, hey, I really love what you said about X, Y, or Z. Sounded a little shaky when you were talking about this and didn't maybe sound full of confidence. And then we'll have a little 2-minute chit chat. Great, what do you got going on today? Like, I'll trigger like a few minutes at the end. But I get right in because she don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste hers. Worst thing I ever did was got a role play partner out of Bowl who worked in the oil fields. And so we role played every morning at 4:30 before he would head out to the field. Brother, there were nights I was just going to bed, setting an alarm for 30 minutes from now. And he's, up fresh. He's a morning guy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to bed for the next 4 hours after we get off the phone, homie. Different strokes for different folks. So you want to team up with someone who maybe has a schedule that works well with yours. 4:30 was a little early for me to really get much out of script practice. I was literally just happy I could keep my eyes open at that time. So understand scripts, the purpose. Read the phrases on the slide. Did you find everything you were looking for? Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I help you. I see you admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking to get one for the big game this weekend? So you guys ever walk into stores and hear scripts like that? Which one's more salesy? I mean, that bottom one is kind of setting the visual scene. The first one is just, did you find everything you were looking for? That's pretty damn easy to say no or yes, I'm good. Hey, can I help you? No, I'm good. I'm a guy. I literally will be lost in a store, know exactly what I need, have no idea where to find it. And when a salesman asks me, can I help you with anything? I will say, I'm good. Because I'm just an idiot.
Drives my wife nuts.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I got mad. I remember my girlfriend and I got in a big fight because I was looking for a cider at a beer store. And I'm looking, I'm like, I can't find it, son of a bitch. And so she goes up and starts talking to the guy. Next thing the guy's coming back, give me a stuff. I'm like, we left stuff. What did you do that for? So that you could get the cider you want. Don't ask him for help. Like, now he's over. Like, what the hell, man? Like, she didn't understand why I was mad. I didn't understand why she didn't know why I was mad. Why would you do that to me? I don't want to talk to somebody. What was the point of this? But you see on that third one, they're not giving me a yes or no, really. They're starting to put a picture in my head. Hey, I see you admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking for getting one for the big game this weekend? Oh, well, what big game? Must not be a football fan. What do you use for what do you watch on TV? But they're getting into it. They're actually starting to create a conversation, get something maybe more than a yes, no out of me. Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I can help you. It's at least a little better than did you find everything you were looking for. But the third one starts to paint a picture. Phrases on the slide are typically well-known and commonly used in sales and service industries. Those phrases are the ones that are real estate focused on only successfully when combined with the person's knowledge of that industry, whether it's electronics, clothing, or real estate. This is where scripts come into play. So we talked about this the other day, limiting beliefs. I know a few of you shared. Who's got limiting beliefs? You don't have to share them. I can't imagine anyone here doesn't have at least something in your mind. Oh, this may hold me back. And so there's scripts around those. This is going to hold me back. Maybe it was my age when I started. I'm too young to sell real estate. Change it around. I'm young and I'm going to have innovative approaches to help my clients. At the same time, I'm going to get the education to make up for my lack of age and experience. And so it's figure out what your limiting beliefs are and put a plan in place to get rid of them. I'm too new to this business. When you're getting top class education, go out and preview homes. I'll tell you, how long you've been in this business to me doesn't mean a whole lot. If I've got 2 agents, one of them's been in this business for 30 years and you've been in this business for 6 months, but you've sold 5 homes in the last 6 months and that agent hasn't sold one, I don't care if they've been in the business for 30 years. You know the business as well or better than they do. This is a business of different markets. That's great that in 1995 they were selling houses. How are you doing in today's current market? And that's where you can, as a new agent, man, you can take over market share like that. Because it's today's market. It doesn't matter what you were doing 5 years ago. Really don't care. How are you doing in today's market? Are you able to successfully work with buyers in a market where we're facing multiple offers? Well, as a new agent, and that's the only market you know, you're going to learn it. And so take those limiting beliefs. I don't know enough people. Will they create a plan to go meet more people? I don't, my friend, but funnier ones I got, well, all my friends, they already own houses. I was thinking, that's a bad thing? Well, it means they have agents. Well, we did the stat when we talked last week, 88% of all folks raised their hand and said, I would use the same agent that I did last time. Yet only 12% do. To me, the fact that all your friends own houses, just because they had an agent to help them buy it, odds are half those agents are out of it. I think they've done the numbers from the last recession in 2007. There's less than like 10% of agents that are in business today were in business back then. There's a fairly high turnover rate. It's that 80-20 principle, Pareto's principle. 20% of all agents do 80% of deals. And that's why you got to get yourself into that 20%. That's why it's a tough business to make it in. Year 1 and 2 are absolutely the hardest. Very similar numbers to the restaurant industry in terms of success in that first couple of years. And the restaurants that make it through the first 2 years tend to end up having pretty long careers and longevity. Same thing with the real estate agents. It's getting those first 2 years, because here's why: you don't have a pipeline. If we were to go back and we talk to the agents that closed deals in 2020, you'll find out a majority of that business came from 2018, 2019 activities. Came from having those conversations with their friends and their family and their loved ones and their relatives and their neighbors and their coworkers. Came from holding open houses back then and setting up internet lead searches. So we don't necessarily have a pipeline day one, so we got to go find business of today. But know that we can get you through the first 2 years. It starts to get a little bit easier, because now you have a bona fide pipeline of folks you've been spending the last 2 years talking to. So not only will you continue to get business of today, but now you'll have some of that pipeline coming to fruition. And so it's figuring out what are those limiting beliefs, and then what do you need to do to get rid of them. And so if you're struggling with that, let's get together and I'll help you come up with a plan to get you to overcome that. Whatever it is, we'll figure out how to help you out through that. So scripts build confidence and job ability. Scripts allow you to stay focused on the conversation and in the present moment. You know, I'm talking about when you're confident that you know your scripts, that you role play. One of the things I tell my role play partners is practice harder, throw more objections at me. Big baseball player, before you go up to bat, anybody baseball fan? So before guys go up to bat, they typically put on a big red metal, we call it a donut. It's a weight that goes over your bat, and it makes that bat really heavy. So that when I go up to bat and actually I'm about to face the pitcher, I knock that little donut off. So I've taken some practice swings and my bat's weighed like 3 pounds. Well, then I knock that off and I go up and now my bat only weighs 1 pound. All of a sudden, man, it feels like I got a toothpick in my hand. Like it's just so light. It feels good. I can get around on that fastball. Same thing with your script practice. Pretend it's the donut. Go hard. Throw crazy ass objections at me. Object 7 to make me get 7 no's before you give me the yes. Always allow your script practice partner to get the yes eventually. But beat them up a little bit once you've done it. If you the first time, don't beat them up. Let's learn the script. But once we know the script we're wanting to use, then start throwing some crazy ass objections at them. Because then when you get into the real game, it's going to seem so easy. Oh my gosh, it's nothing like the crazy ass objections that I've gotten from my partners. And so practice at a high level so that you can play at a high level. And that will allow you to be focused on the conversation and present in the moment, because you're confident that no matter what they throw at you, man, it's nothing compared to what my crazy partner Aaron has been throwing at me the last couple of weeks. She's telling me we can't buy a house because my uncle got abducted by aliens and we don't live in houses. I hear that, Aaron, and I certainly appreciate that your uncle was abducted by aliens. That's certainly a unique family you have. Help me understand why being abducted by aliens will prevent you from buying a house. You know, like, I'm probably not going to get a client that does that. I had an internet lead this summer that though she threw every conspiracy theory at me under the books. That Obama and Trump were working together and they were bringing guillotines to the country and that we're either all going to take the vaccine and get microchipped or we're all getting our heads sliced off. So you have been warned, guys. You have been warned. And that I did not have a script for. I just, okay. I gotcha. I ended up firing her because a few of the jokes she started making were racist. And at that point, I said, you know what? Good luck finding a home. You know, I can deal with the crazy ass conspiracy theories. That's fine. But once you start getting into that, I want nothing to do with it. Personal choice, but should be a pretty easy one for all of us. And script allow for consistency is what is said in actions that the agents take. You know, it starts to become more predictable as you use that script, the open house script I gave you, the do you currently live in the area? It's pretty predictable to me which one of 4 or 5 directions that conversation will go from there. But I kind of know what responses to get. It's a conversation I've had over and over and over and over and over. And it makes it consistent. So how to use scripts. So memorization and practice lead to internalization of scripts. Before you get into the role model with scripts, it's important to understand that reading through a script one time is not enough to internalize them and make them sound natural. It takes time and dedicated practice for scripts to sound natural. They are a tool to do their jobs. How often do you practice a new task just one time before you're proficient at any job? Does anybody like me, though, sometimes get frustrated when like talking about video games? Like I haven't played video games in 10 years yet. If I picked one up today and got killed like 10 times, I'd be pissed. Like, which blows my mind. Like even me, I realize how stupid that is. That literally I've never done something. I don't do it successfully like a professional the first time. I'm like, I just suck. Like, no, you're not going to be the best at something like day one. It takes time, it takes practice. Don't expect perfection day one. Those of you that are like me, like understand the people you're comparing yourself, they practice on a daily basis. Now, if I've been practicing for 6 months, then I have an expectation that I'm going to be better at it. And would be disappointed if I wasn't getting better. But naturally, if you're doing it, continuously practicing, role-playing with folks, you're going to get better. Why I want as many opportunities to speak with leads. I practice with role-playing partners. I practice on live test dummies. Like my clients, it's why we say you're practicing real estate. It's an ever-evolving. It's just like practicing medicine, practicing law. We're learning. It's always advancing. I like being in an industry where we practice it, we don't do it. Doing it means that there's one way and you do it. Practice means we're continually improving. My scripts get better. I get more honed in. My tonality changes. Mirroring and matching is part of a script. So mirroring and matching is when if I pick up the phone and I've got an 85-year-old young lady on the phone, she's very soft-spoken, then I don't come back at her, hey, Hunter Wagner from Keller Williams, how are you this morning? They do an activity in bold where they make one of you talk slow and steady and really excited to get together. And they make the other person talk loud and fast. And it takes about 30 seconds before both of you have a migraine. So you want to mirror and match. I do it not just via tonality. Watch me if I meet with you one-on-one. If you lean forward, within about 5 seconds, you'll see me lean forward. If you lean back, I'll lean back. If you put your elbow up, I'll probably put my elbow up. It's mirroring and matching. Another part of the script in the language of sales is don't give negative language. Hey, Aaron, I'd love you to sign a listing agreement tonight. How's that work? All I'm doing is subconsciously shaking my head no. Hey, Aaron, I'd really love you to sign this listing agreement today. Do you think I'd be the best agent to go to work for you? Would that be something you'd be willing to do? Positive reaffirmation. They can read your body language. So mirroring and matching is a huge part of it, though, that tonality. Matching the intensity of the conversation, matching the volume. My volume, I'm determined, self-diagnosed, I have no inner ear. I feel like I'm whispering right now. I can tell by Mike being able to hear me in the back that clearly I'm a little bit more audible. I was in a play in high school where we had 14 actors, 13 of them were mic'd up. I did not need a microphone. I used to get in a lot of trouble at school because I think I was whispering. Like, dang, dude, check out that cute girl that just came in the class over there. And then I would see her like, shut up. Dude, I think she can read mine. She knows exactly what I'm saying right now. Never occurred to me that I'm just a really loud son of a gun. Like, But so, what are 3 negative consequences of failing to learn scripts? What would be a negative consequence of not knowing scripts? That's absolutely one.
It's not being able to talk to the person.
Mm-hmm. More importantly, not being able to listen. Because I'm so worried of, I don't know what to say, that I'm not hearing what you're saying, because I'm just going, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say in my own mind.
Well, they also can be interpreting that you don't know what you're doing.
Yep. Knowing scripts gives you not just confidence in yourself, allows them to be confident in you. And hey, man, this guy knows what the heck he's talking about. Sometimes I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but I sound confident doing it. And I've learned, man, fake it till you make it. This is the truth. Yeah, the older I've gotten, the more adult I am, I realize I don't think anybody knows what the hell they're doing. But the people that are at the top, they faked it, and then they eventually learn. But I mean, we all kind of, are idiots at some level. But I mean, you watch the people in charge and you think they must be so much smarter. And then you get to know them and you realize they're no smarter. They just sound hella confident. And eventually I think that confidence ends up getting them the intelligence because they get to be in those positions where you're given that knowledge. But I don't think anybody is born with the innate knowledge. We go out and we learn it. And by being in a higher position, you tend to get more opportunities to learn that knowledge. You get, the more confident you sound as a real estate agent, the more clients you're going to pick up. The more clients you pick up, the more you're going to learn this business. So none of us start off, nobody moved into real estate. Not one of you is any smarter in real estate than the other one. Over time, you may because you get more experience. Well, that comes from the confident sounding of your script. So until you are experienced and have that ability, you have to sound confident. Well, the only way I can sound confident is if I've been practicing it. And I got to believe what I'm saying. And it gives you ownership of what you're saying. The more you practice it and internalize it. So when we start by learning scripts, we try to learn them by the book. And then as I go, I start to learn, where do I color outside the lines? Where do I need to stay inside the lines? What was the purpose of this script? What is this script designed to get from the other side? And so that I can learn what are the main elements that I need to have, that I need to hold on to. Where do I need to then put it in my own tone, my own words? And that's when you really have mastered scripts, when you can start to internalize them and put them back in your voice. There are certain scripts where there are words in them, and some of the scripts we have in the script book, I hate them because they're not realistic. There's like a first time call to your database, and literally like the script's like this long before they're supposed to say anything. I'm like, well, I've never had a conversation where it was like me giving a monologue and then getting a yes or no and then another monologue from me. And so it's just not realistic. That's where role playing is huge. So that you can make that script real. So that you can bring it into a real life conversation. It's easy to read it on a piece of paper and go, okay, that makes sense, but is that something that a real conversation would go like? Probably not. That's where getting a real human being to role play with, where they can throw real objections. They can cut you off in the middle of a sentence because that will happen in a real conversation. Whereas if I'm just reading it on a piece of paper, they don't break into the middle of my sentence and stop me down. In real life, that can happen. And so when you practice like that, how you practice is how you play. And one of the things you want to have, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And so that's why you got to provide that feedback, help each other out. Just saying, hey, you did it, but you gave me no feedback. Maybe I wasn't sounding very confident. Maybe my tonality, maybe I wasn't mirroring and matching. If you don't tell me that, then I'm going to keep practicing it the wrong way. And so imperfect practice will make for imperfect results. Whereas if we work on making practice perfect, then I'll be perfect when I do my scripts. No, there's no such thing as perfect when it comes to scripts, but we want to help each other improve. And so when you offer constructive criticism, something a lot of us struggle is giving constructive criticism. We do a train the trainer class and they make everyone in the classroom give you constructive criticism. And boy, I mean, you see some of these people that literally go out in the hall and are just bawling. Well, you must have had different parents than mine, because mine had no problem providing constructive criticism to me growing up. You can tell the people who have never been told by their parents that, like, you're not perfect at everything. You know, my parents built me up plenty, gave me plenty of confidence, but they also let me know when it was time to improve things and how to improve them. And here's how you could go about that. So when you offer criticism, make it constructive, give them something to work with so that we can continue to get better. So way to memorize the scripts. Read the first sentence out loud 5 times. Repeat the same sentence 5 times while smiling. There's a difference in your tonality when you're sitting. So when I make my phone calls, I'm always up. I'm a pacer. I'll end up like on the 3rd floor of the office building and have no idea how I got there. My mind's, concentrating on the conversation and I'm just walking around. When I'm at my house, I will do the most random things. It's how I lose stuff. Because like I'll just be on the phone, I'll have my keys in my hand, then I'll put the keys in the freezer, go pour a bowl of dog food into my bowl and pour some ravioli into the dog's. Like I don't know where my mind is going because it's concentrating on the conversation, yet the body's still doing things. But they know when you can hear a smile. Everybody agree you can hear a smile on the phone?
Yes.
And so some days you got to get yourself in the right mindset. Some days you may say, hey, it ain't it today, Chief. Remember my other coach and she was walking in one day and I think she had a fight with her at the time fiance. And I mean, I could tell she had the makeup and smeared. I could tell it had been a long morning. I say, go home. Like, I'm not even mad. Like, I hope you will allow me when I have those kind of mornings, Venus, to do the same thing. Go home, go deal with whatever's pressing at home. If the problem's at home and you don't want to go home, go get a cup of coffee. Don't come in today. I'm not mad at you. I just know we got to have, especially as coaches working with new agents, we got to have that positive attitude. If we can't bring that, then don't do it. Same thing. If you're getting up on the phone, you realize, man, it ain't it today. Something happened in life got in the way. That's okay. We're not going to not lead generate. We're going to replace it. We're not going to just remove it and say, well, today was a bad day, so I'm just not going to leave. No, either move it to that afternoon, move it, double up the next day, maybe just add 30 minutes if it was Monday that you missed because the weekend something happened. Monday, my heart wasn't in it. Instead of making a bunch of calls where it just sounds like, hey, this summer, how can I help you? Oh, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, no, I'm excited. No, totally. This is going to be fun. This is going to be an adventure. I'm really stoked. That ain't going to do it for me. I get my personality is my biggest driver for my clients. And I tell them I'm going to make this fun. This is going to be an adventure. We're going to have a good time. There may be a day where I have to call in and tell Julia, hey, can you go in and sub in for Ignite? I can't bring it today. And I got to be honest with myself when those days come. You got to be honest with yourself. Because I think it's 63% of all communication is body language. Well, especially on the phone, I lose that. So tonality becomes that much more important. The words we use only makes up about 7% of communication. Where I see this example is like my girlfriend the other night. She had a client. She didn't like the client she doesn't think likes her. And the client sent her a text. She had sent her a question and my girlfriend answered it. And the girl just wrote back, okay. Now, how my girlfriend read it was, okay. I read it as just, okay. Like she assumed that the okay just meant F you, basically. Whereas I think it just meant, okay, I see what you wrote, cool. So the word was the same, but boy, we were both guessing at the tonality of it. And one of us, I don't know which one of us was 180 degrees off. So one of us thought she was being fine and pleasant, the other one thought she hated us. And so text is a little dangerous for that reason. Anybody ever had that happen where maybe you get in a fight with a significant other because you think they're being an asshole and they totally weren't? They just, the words they used, you just read them with the tone you inferred, and the tone I typed them with were totally different. Why we still try to make this as much a face-to-face business so we don't lose that in the communication. I think our current generation that is all text-based, they lose a lot in their conversations because of that. Human relationships probably suffer that. Anybody that's done online dating, it's weird because it's like all on text at first. And like you don't really get to know, like literally I'm judging like a female off of how she texts. Like what a weird way to like form like I already have an opinion before you would go on a date with a girl based off of how she texts. What a weird way to judge someone, but yet we're all doing it today because we're all so text communication. It's funny when you watch like old videos about the future and they like pretended like they had video chat and like everyone in the future was going to be using video chat. And now we all have phones where you can do video chat and yet still most of us just type. Like still the lowest form of written communication is what we've decided we all want to go with, where we could actually be face to face and see each other and see that body language, hear that tonality. No, we've chosen to go with just the 7% with words on a piece of paper. Probably says a lot about our society and the directions we seem to be headed some days. But so you read the second line of the script out loud 10 times while smiling. Then you say the script from memory, recite the first 2 sentences 10 times with a smile. Then you say the script by adding 1 sentence at a time, repeating 10 times. Then you say the entire script as fast as you can, 5 times in a row. This is just one method. There's millions of methods to go memorize a script. You'll kind of figure out what works best for you. I don't even necessarily know that I memorize them. I practice them so much that I don't realize I'm memorizing them. And then I internalize them and they become my own. And that's when you know you've got, once you've learned the basics, that's when you do. You get to start to color outside the line, get a little bit more creative with it, bring in a little bit more personality. Have a little bit of fun with it. Make it a challenge. Grow yourself. So at the end of the day, we're going to recommend you guys pick partners and we'll go over that. So what ahas do you guys have before we take a quick break? So I'll show you real quick where you have scripts. Let's go to Google. Sign in. Always quietly in my head, I'm like, yes, knew my password. You guys heard that crazy Bitcoin story about the gentleman out in San talking about passwords, just random, like off topic. He is a German engineer, lives out in San Francisco, and he has his Bitcoin. He's got it on a USB encrypted drive. He has 7,002 Bitcoins on that drive. He has guessed his password 8 times, has not gotten it right. It has a 10 password attempt, and then it will automatically encrypt and never be able to be opened. So he has 2 guesses left at 7,002 Bitcoins at their current price yesterday at $37,000. I think it was something like 350 million is sitting on that little drive. He said it's keeping him up at night. He can't sleep. It's all he thinks about. Like, wow. Like I'd be trying hypnotism, like somebody on the radio said, what if he entered the right password and he just accidentally hit the wrong key? So now he's not going to guess it, but he got it right, but he just typed it wrong and didn't know he typed it. Like, I don't know if I could live with that. That would be pretty tough. Knowing you could be a like multimillionaire or like worth nothing. But so in your drive under your shared me, you've got your Ignite. So in here are 2 huge script books. You've got the Elements and the Spark script book. So each one has a nice table of contents. So lead generation scripts, new to real estate, new to Keller Williams. Remind them you're in real estate, calling referrals, calling personal and professional service industries, door knocking scripts, social media messages, inventory script. Then you've got the Element Scripts, which is more working with sellers and working with buyers. So the Sparks is going to be kind of the lead gen, and the Elements is going to be kind of actually once you start working with clients, which scripts you should use. Man, there's scripts for all sorts of stuff. I'll add some of these into the Ignite folder, but I think a lot of you guys are hopefully going to get into coaching. Our coaching clients get access to the Agent Resources file. Inside the Agent Resources file, I've got a whole lot more scripts. For example, this one right here, this Keller Williams script, that's 258 pages of size 12 font scripts. Some of them are old, a little outdated. You can quickly get the message from them and kind of create a more modern version. There's scripts for everything. There's great on KW Connect. There's great script videos. The last family reunion, I know they're actually starting to run it again this year. They're doing a battle of a script off. We're doing one here at the office. I think it's going to be just the coaches. A little nervous. I'm going to crush them. Fake humility there. But so you can watch some of these top agents, but here are some, these are more like objection scripts. So for our website portal is telling me my house is worth more than you are. Who am I supposed to believe? I want to buy my next house before I sell the one I'm in. I'm afraid once I sell, I won't be able to find anything to buy. There are no listings out there. I think I should just wait. You think that might be a little script you want to keep in your back pocket? Yeah, that's the market we're in right now. So what I love is Quentin right there, his answer. The first thing he does in that script, what's he do? He goes, that's a valid concern. He's affirming their objection. So that's a valid concern. And you know, that's happening all over the marketplace. Let me share with you what we're going to do right now for our sellers who want to sell and also want to buy. We're getting homes on the market for sale, market to the buying public, and we're making your deal contingent upon you finding a suitable replacement property. What would it look like right now if I brought you, say, 6 or 7 offers, got you in market value and or a bidding war on the market value, and then you went out to be able to shop for another home? But the deal that we made with the buyer is that your deal is contingent upon you finding a replacement property. How would that sound? That's a version of a script for that. I use what if we could make sure that every offer had a temporary lease? What if I could arrange so that when you sold your home, we were able to actually stay in it for up to 90 days after we closed on that? Would that allow you a little bit more breathing room and flexibility when it came to finding your own home? Beautiful. Well, let's discuss how that would work. So these are great top of the market of the moment scripts. So those are awesome. There's a lot of lab coat agents will share scripts on there. Real Estate Rockstar is another Facebook page that does some really good script practice. Real quick before we go, give me 3 minutes and we'll go on a break. So I created our Ignite page yesterday. I think I'm friends with about half of you guys in here. Those that I am not friends with, go find the page. It is Keller Williams Central Ignite, January 2021. So you'll see the January 2021. That is a page just for you guys. KW Central Solutions. I think most of you are hopefully on there. If you're not, that's absolutely a good one. That's our office kind of Facebook. We don't want that to become, you're not necessarily supposed to share listings. You can use it to ask for open houses. I do get a little pushback that agents don't necessarily like that. You want to get more proactive, and we'll talk about how to find an open house. But instead of putting it out on Facebook, we're going to talk about how you actually go pick the open house you want to do by the criteria you want to do instead of asking. When you ask, you tend to get the maybe not so hot open houses. So KW Central Solutions is a page I highly recommend. Lab Coat Agents. That one's a really good one. Enjoy my Trippin' Balls kickball group. Let's see, what else am I looking for? There is a KW Command Facebook group that's really good. So as you can see, about half of mine are sports and half of mine are real estate. Trying to see if there's any other KW referral group. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's a little political. Basically, a bunch of agents across the country have teamed up. And so like anytime somebody asks for a referral for Dallas, I think Brittany Stewart is the girl that's in the Little Cool Kids Club. So everybody recommends her, even though like she doesn't work all parts of Dallas. It's kind of frustrating. That's why that's literally that Facebook group is why they set up the referrals part of Command, was so that you can actually have control over finding an agent and getting out there and being found. You'll want to set up your profile in Command so that you can be found. Those of you who speak a second language, absolutely make sure you market that on there. I'm seeing a lot of referrals for folks that there's less competition, obviously, for those that can speak a second language. Yet there's quite, especially here in North Texas, where we are quite the diverse country. You know, that's why, you know, I think like when I grew up, like, I guess I just didn't see racism as a thing because like when I went to school, man, you went to school with, dude, I had friends from all walks of life, all different skin colors, all different ethnicities, all different languages. That was just kind of what I knew was North Texas to me is the big melting pot. We've got, you know, communities across this area of all different backgrounds. So, but yeah, there's quite a few. Dallas Home Builders Realtors page. So you can see there is a lot of real estate pages on Facebook. I know Facebook is toxic. For me, it's a business thing these days. I have a few good friends I follow on there that I enjoy keeping up with, but mostly it's business and barbecue. Lots of barbecue on my Facebook page. So if you ever need good barbecue recipes, I got you guys covered too. So it is 10:40. Let's take a break till 10:55, and then we will dive into setting goals that matter and see if we can get you guys out of here a few minutes early on a Friday afternoon so y'all can go do some lead generation this afternoon, right? Sweet. I'll see you guys back in 15. Yes, sir.
Where in Google did you go? I don't have my computer with me today.
So if like you go to just google.com,
Right.
you'll want to come in, sign in if you're not signed in.
Yep.
Once you're signed in, click on these 9 little squares.
Yep.
This will actually pull up.
I saw you picked one.
So I picked Drive.
Drive, sure.
You also have Google Docs,
Yep.
which is basically Microsoft Word.
Mhm.
Google Sheets is basically Excel.
Yep.
Slides is basically PowerPoint.
Right.
Meet is kind of their version of Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Calendar is obviously their
Sure.
online calendar. But yeah, Drive.
Yep.
And then for you, you will go
Share
to
with me.
Shared with You.
Yeah.
And it should be one of the folders that's been shared with you. Let me make sure I've got the right email address that I've shared with you.
Yeah, I was on it last night.
I've got your AOL and your Gmail.
Good.
That work?
Works for me.
Rock and roll, my friend.
Super, thanks.
Yeah, as we go over stuff, I'll just keep throwing stuff in there so it'll continue to grow.
Well, one of the nice things too is that my wife and I are teamed,
Uh-huh.
so we'll practice scripts that way.
That's it. It's nice to have a practice partner.
Absolutely.
I didn't always love practicing with my parents, so it was too nervous for me. And that was when I shared an office with my dad, before I finally got my own office. I tell him, like, I just am more nervous with him. Like, and he's like,
Sure.
I'm never listening. I don't care, son. Say what you want. I'm like, I know, but like, I don't want to say something wrong and have you write down my back.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's the reality is like agents ask to shadow people all the time.
Yeah.
And very rarely will other agents let them shadow. It's not because we're jerks. It's I don't want to say anything wrong in front of you or let you see that I don't do it the right way. But like I tell agents, none of us do it the right way. There is no right way.
Gotcha.
I want people to see the real way.
Sure.
Like when I was talking to that coach about listing presentations, and she's like, I don't ever use one. I'm like, I bring one, but I don't go over it because most of my clients, it's just a conversation.
Sure.
And so I think we're gonna start teaching you more the
That's
real way.
the way my wife is approaching
Yeah.
it, just a
That's most
conversation.
of us, exactly. I think if you didn't bring anything, but you just had a meaningful conversation, and they know you have their best interest in mind and that they can trust you, they tend to give you the business.
When I was in engineering, I had a department working for me.
Yeah.
We were taught.
Yeah, you're right there.
That opening sentence, grammar,
It's like I say with like the 4 cell matters and the expires, it's like riding a bull on the rodeo. If you can get through that first 8 seconds, man, you're golden, you get to cash out. If you get knocked off the horse within 8 seconds every time, it's gonna be really tough to
I
win.
hear you, I hear you.
This is our classroom, and we have, oh, I know, I keep forgetting too. So we have Ignite going on. Ignite is the brand new agents. Okay. And it's, today's topic is things that matter.
So that's the training program.
This is the training program. This is included with your office. Let me ask Hunter if you could take that. Okay. But I think you can, and see if you envision your big line. What is it? What is it? It's a little bit forgetting your head. Hey, Hunter.
What up, Miss Sarah Diamond?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
This is Iana.
Iana, pleasure to meet you.
And
Yeah, like I
she,
wanted to grab her hand, I'm like,
Natural reaction.
well, she's going to be going through real estate. She's awesome. I met her at CarMax and I was like, you need to get into real estate.
Beautiful.
And I think she's going to be great. The launch course we were talking about. Yes.
With our new
Fantastic.
agents. We're about to do goal setting here starting in about 10 minutes. You're welcome to hang out if you want to just.
Yeah.
You're nice.
So let me just show her the, yeah, I gave her the paper already. And
They're up there.
Oh, shit.
Not about her office. Is the one. People are amazing. Like, just, you have something, it can be a top agent in the office, they help you. You, hey, how do I work this contract? What do I do? And we have a Facebook group where you can ask, you know, it's amazing. So, and this.
You guys waking up tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
That's good.
Well, I mean, I'll probably be a week late. That's okay, you can do it.
Yeah, we're planning to get up by like 8:30 at least.
Yeah.
So we can
Drive over.
get back over here. That might be enough for now. You like to sleep? You had good sleep last night, Mercy? Good. Be careful when you jump up on things.
Bernie, if you're really hungry, I can hot pocket, baby. Oh, you warm? What? Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming. She sure is snuggled up. Huh? Oh.
TV?
Is the Rome asleep?
Oh my God, Mira, God damn it.
Oh my God, you leave for 5 minutes and she's on here. Yes?
You sign me out? Dang it, man.
Yes, she is. She's very relaxed person. Very personable. To meet you very well. That's really good. That's really what it's all about.
Awesome.
So are you, are someone taking you out party?
Tomorrow.
Happy
Tomorrow?
birthday.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
I had like, because I was like trying to do my home feed and message everybody. And then this week was like, so what's going on? You planning something? I'm like, all right, hold on, let me look at the restaurant. I stopped everything and then I'm like, okay, find a restaurant. I have a lot of people in my circle. And then everybody want to hang, but I don't want too many people. I'm like, okay, it's good. Not anything more than.
Because some restaurants won't even do more than 10.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm keeping 10 or less. If I can better, I'll have it keep great people.
Right.
So like, so I'm hanging up with them different times. I'm like, I was messaging, I was hanging out this week, let's hang on Tuesday, let's hang on Wednesday.
Yeah. So did I.
Like small group, yeah. So I have friends in so many different industries that I get with too. So I start out the year, I was like, hey, 2020, didn't get to see everybody because of COVID, and there's so much going on. But you know, I want to start the year out right and, you know, at least meet up and say hi.
Yeah,
It's
well-
too busy.
See, for me, it's simple tasks like remembering everybody's name. So that's why every day, everybody comes
Say your
in,
name.
I look at the screen, it's like, okay. So I've got pretty much like a morning crew that comes in here and does their huddle at 8:27. And so I pretty much got everybody's name down.
Morning crew, what's that?
Well, they have a morning huddle at
And
8:27.
what group is that? Just another?
No, it's the market center.
Gotcha.
They invite everybody.
Every day?
Every day.
I didn't even know about that.
It's, and so for me, it's like, for me, I like to learn everything about the organization. I enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's Bill Webb, who's the, you know, business guy. Sarah, Lindsay, Kenzie. I have a problem with her name, Denenza. Then Veronica comes in, she still comes in every morning. And then Kevin just sits there. Clark's went in a couple of times. But it's usually, it's just whoever works, people that works in the office.
Yeah. They have little meetings.
Oh, I've been doing huddles in all the organizations I've done.
Yeah.
Every day over the last 20, 30.
Check it out.
This is by far the best. Each person takes a turn, they do a motivational thing, people share their ideas, completely non-threatening. It's literally, and this is the team that works the market for us. It's really a good way to get to know them,
Yeah.
how they think. It's kind of what sold me on the organization is because they actually really do what they are saying
Yeah.
they're doing. Michael started coming in, what, 3 days ago? Yeah.
So then you look at that.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I've done
8:27?
8:27. No, actually, they put it on purpose. And I think I think that I asked, it was Bill's idea. But I also taught school, also things that I've done, but we do breaks, same thing. You never give a 5 or 0. You know, if people remember how long the break is, you give an off number. Same thing with meetings. You want to make sure it remains something that in someone's head. Do it an off number, like 27.
Yeah,
Because you won't forget that. That's unusual.
right,
But
that's true.
no, they've earlier we built a leadership piece with, but they're usually short, usually a video involved of some type, and then how does it relate to real estate? How it's just, I think it's very positive.
I think it makes you think too about, and develops family. This office.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions, I think.
Because goal setting was one of the topics this morning at the huddle, which is kind of interesting, because for us, goal setting is one of our classmates. So,
Right.
There's always been some aspect of why it's work.
yeah. Because, if you just want to get out of your house and do something different, you know, 8:27, sure, drop by the office, see what's going on in the home.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right there. Oh, I've searched for that certification for a house, which would call it? The showing system. I looked at the calendar and see it on there,
I
so,
don't think they put it on there yet.
because I need to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I think you're right.
We all should. We all should. Have y'all previewed homes yet?
How'd you get?
Have you previewed
I was
homes?
able to.
No, I was trying to figure out yesterday, so I was on my side, Sunday. And it showed me,
Because I was waiting.
put everything on our list. Just one,
We did last one.
a big search.
Yeah.
So afterwards, you can see which one is supposed to.
Yeah, but they got a
And then you go policy. Okay, this is gonna be out to you, this is 2:30.
Yeah.
This way you don't have a bunch.
Right.
And cage, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's only to pop, right, but it's like.
Right, so you can see the time.
Yeah. And then you drive up the street and then he's like, just go. Look around there for a couple of places and then you start to go. I guess this way.
So do you go look to see if it's vacant, to see if you can?
Yes, show him how to do that.
Okay.
And then ask him about duplex and if you show him how to search separately for duplex or what you're looking for. Yeah, that was good. We got some one-on-ones and some questions. Just created. And then he'll show me on the screen, so I'm following my screen.
Yeah.
Same thing. So that was really. I want to go see some places today, so.
Yeah.
So. And like, some, it's like, book until like the next couple of days, but some you can do that same day. And then it'll show that it's instantly, granted, request, once you request it, it's instantly, so it's like, if you are, do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, move for that time. Like,
Right. Now you want to practicing and opening the doors. It'll never even be a little key.
I think I'll drag my wife. She wants me. She's one of those that love to go
Just look at homes.
look at homes.
Yeah.
She's completely happy doing that. I told her, I said, well, if you really get tired of HR and you don't want to do HR anymore.
Your wife sounds like me.
Yeah. But it's her,
Tired of HR and I want to go look at homes.
well, it's actually her 5th career choice.
Yeah.
And she's actually really enjoyed, she's actually getting her bachelor's degree in HR. So it's, for me, it's like, great, she's finally found something that she really wants to invest her time.
Yeah.
And she enjoys helping people. And you're right, she does not enjoy the letting go part portions. But by far, it's actually allowed us to have a wholly different conversation and professional level, which before we never did have. Because I was always the one that was out doing all the professional stuff.
Right.
She was always home with the kids. So it's added a whole new dynamic to the relationship.
All right. Get rocking and rolling. Pull something up. I'm actually gonna grab my computer. link I want to access. Yeah, so I just saw on, so like right here at KW Connect, looking for seller objection scripts that win listings. New designs and MLK Day graphics, so it stays up to date with stuff. They're always adding new stuff. Went up to $2,000 in prizes. Purchase your family reunion ticket. So family reunion is coming up here in February, I think right after we get done with Ignite. Anybody know what family reunion is? So there are two main conventions at Keller Williams. Biggest one is family reunion. Takes place typically in February, almost always on Valentine's Day. Gets me out of having to go out to a crappy overpriced dinner and buy gifts almost every year. Oh, babe, I would love to, but I gotta, go to work. Fortunately, this year, because of everything that's going on, it will be a virtual conference. So sounds like I'll still be, although we can't go to restaurants, babe, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're gonna have to grill out. Oh no. I guess I'll just watch the basketball game in my hot tub tonight. Darn, sucks. So wish we could go spend money on an overpriced dinner. I'm not a big fan of going out to eat on holidays. I've been a waiter. The service sucks on holidays. Just a heads up, you go out to eat on Easter or Mother's Day. Oh, Mother's Day. And the people that come, they just seem so unhappy when they sit down at their tables. Like, because they've been waiting for 2 hours to get some overpriced pancakes for breakfast or whatever. Like, just an inside tip from someone who's worked a lot of those holidays. You're better off cooking at home and going out a week later and having a good meal where the service is up to par. But so family reunion typically takes place over Valentine's Day for about a week. It rotates location. So this year it was going to be in Las Vegas. They'll announce at the end of this year where it's going to be next year. So they always give you a year in advance. Tell you the second they announce it, there are agents that go on and book their hotels. Like a lot of the bigger hotels will literally sell out like 2 days after they announce it. There's about 20,000 people that come to this from all across the country. What I love about family reunion is it can be a very tailored personal experience. So they have throughout the day, they'll have the main stage where we go and we watch Gary Keller give like his State of the Union, which just kind of tells us what happened with KW. And then Gary will do his economic forecast typically the next day. And that's where we all get together. But then during the day, they have breakout sessions. They're about an hour and a half long, and typically they'll have 50 sessions going on at the same time. Some sessions may be on working with first-time home buyers. Maybe this one's on short sales. Maybe this one's the top 5 REO agents. This one's a panel of the top rookies of the year from across the country. And so you get to really tailor your experience and what you want to walk out of there with. Then in August, late August, early September, we have Mega Camp. It started as an event for only mega agents and it hit a certain production level. It's since been opened up. I know my dad has a picture from a mega camp back in like 1999 where it was like 50 agents in a 7-Eleven parking lot in Austin with Gary Keller. There's now typically 15 to 20,000 people down in the Austin Convention Center. That one is more 2.5 days, a little bit shorter, and you're kind of all in the main room and they just bring up panel after panel, guest speakers, motivational speakers. Gary will give another like kind of economic update. And then they'll bring in like a panel of top for sale by owner agents. Maybe typically he'll have just 1 or 2 long interviews where he'll have a mega agent and it's just Gary and a mega agent having a conversation for an hour and a half. I like it because it will give you some exposure to some things maybe you haven't even thought about. With family reunion, I'm kind of going for stuff I know I want. Sometimes in mega camp, I hear stuff that I never even thought about. Then I'm like, okay. Now, those of you, we're going to be doing family reunion here at the Market Center, so I think we'll have at least one panel or one breakout session every session on the big screen, but it may not be the one you want to go. I think tickets are somewhere like $150 to $170, I think. 119 right now. Man, to me, that's money well spent. Because it is, you get access to all the breakouts, you'll have access to all the recordings. A lot of that stuff will be accessible even for those of you that don't go. So I know being brand new, money can be tight. So we will be doing a lot of stuff here at the Market Center. We will have the week after family reunion, a panel of agents here, give their ahas. But the goal is to typically, I like to go home with 4 or 5 good ideas of things that I'm actually going to implement. I see agents that go home with 35 good ideas and they never implement one. And so my goal is to, even if it's just one thing that I'm going to go home and implement to my business to help me improve for the following year, that's to me well worth it. Now, why it's really nice when we can start traveling, that's a great way to grow that referral network and to get to know agents and go out with agents. We go out as a Market Center, but then typically the main hotels will have the bar scene's pretty fun. You get to see agents from across the country. One of the hotels will normally like make a conference room and turn it into like a little dance club. So there's nothing cooler than like at 1 a.m. you got some 80-year-old lady behind you like doing the old whip it, and then the next morning she's leading the prayer breakfast, and you're like, I get it. I'm cool with this company, man. I'm cool with this. But it's fun. You get to people let their hair down. Don't let your hair down too much. I'm sure at least one agent every year is asked to leave Keller Williams after family reunion because some people just cannot handle going on vacation, being away from the wife or the husband for a short amount of time with alcohol involved and some bad decisions get made. Don't be that guy or that girl. This year we don't have to worry about it. It's virtual, so hopefully nobody's getting too drunk here at the Market Center. Hopefully. It's real estate, it's a contact and drinking sport. So what I'm gonna do is pull up a little calculator and I will send you guys the link to this. So this is a CGI. So we're gonna talk about setting goals. And why goals are important. What do you guys think having a goal is important?
More like something to shoot for.
Absolutely. I mean, I got to know where I want to go, right? So we talk about what we call SMART goals. Let's see if I can get the whiteboard to pop up. Cool.
There's your picture.
I have got to get better at writing with my finger. So SMART is specific. That looks like a 3-year-old. I promise my handwriting is really, it's not much better, but it is a little better. Measurable. Assignable. In other words, who's the goal for? Relevant. And I think to me, one of my most important is it's time-based. So specific. The goal should not be, well, I want to be successful. What's your goal? Well, I want to be successful. Awesome. We need to define it. What is success? Success is so different for each one of us. It's all relative. You know, if you came from a job where you're making $500,000 and you made $100,000 this year, would you call it a success? You might not. If you came from a job where you're making 50 and you made $100,000 this year, probably pretty successful. So it needs to be specific and definable. It needs to be measurable. Kind of once again going to the, well, I want to be successful. Well, that's not measurable. That's a feeling. We need to have it as something measurable. So we're either typically, you know, so for my real estate goals, is it I want to net X amount of money. I want to help blank number of families. I love phrasing it like that because that's something I like to share with goals. Goals, share them. Put them out there. People love to help people when they know what it is you're trying to accomplish. Not everybody, but boy, you'll realize you've got some core advocates that want to help you. Maybe even some people that will surprise you that you didn't think of, that are gonna, once you put it out in the world. What if when you were calling everybody, letting them know you're in real estate, and then you shared? Hey, so thank you so much for taking my call today, and I just wanted to share with you before we get off the phone, I got a really big goal this year. I want to help 30 families either purchase or sell a home here in the DFW area. So I know you said you and your family just moved into your home and you guys love it. So I know you're probably not going anywhere soon, but it's really important to me and my family that I hit this goal. So who do you know looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate coming up in 2021? Now that I've shared my goal with you, she feels a little bit more ownership in it. She wants to help me achieve. I want to find out what her goals are. I'd love to help you with your goals. What do you got big planned for 2021? How can I help you? It's a scratch your back, scratch my back kind of deal. But if I can share them because it's specific and it's measurable, it's assignable, who's going to hit the goal? You know, especially like if you're on a team, saying the team wants to hit 50 million in sales, well, how are we going to do it? Who's going to do it? How will they do it? Is it relevant? Most importantly, time-based. Instead of saying I want to make $50,000 and not putting a time frame on it, then you can do that in 5 years, or are we going to do it in 10 years? Do we want to do it in 20, or do we want to do it in the next 6 months? Relevant to me means a goal that is realistic, relevant or realistic for the R. I was listening to, anybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Gary V. All right, for those of you who don't mind a little bit of attitude and curse words are not going to offend you, I highly recommend Gary Vaynerchuk. It's spelled Vaynerchuk. You can look up just Gary V, you'll find him. So Gary started his dad ran a wine store in New York. Back in like 2002, Gary took over his dad's wine store and he decided to start creating YouTube videos. And he would do wine samplings. He would each week review a bottle. He did it consistently and he turned a $300,000 a year business into a $300 million a year business. And now he is a business coach, an entrepreneur. He was one of the original investors in Uber, I believe. One of those dudes. Got some choice words he likes to use. He's very fond of the F word. He's from New York. One of the fun things about Gary, he'll share his goal. He has a goal in the next 20 years of buying the New York Jets. He's got a lot of Jets material. But he was doing this call with a young lady, and he was asking people to share their goals with him on the call. And so this young girl calls in, and she says, Gary, my goal is to make $1 million next year. And he goes, help me out. How much did you make last year? Well, I made like $25,000. It was awesome. You've given yourself an opportunity to fail. And I loved how he explained it. He goes, you've set a goal that's so unrealistic that you already know you're going to fail at it. I'm going to ask you, and he asked me, he goes, do you really believe you can make $1 million next year? She goes, well, not really. Because then you've given yourself permission to fail. Because if you're already going to fail, what's the difference? I'm already getting an F. Does it matter whether I get an F by making $25,000 or $999,999? Either way, I didn't hit my goal. And she's given herself a goal she knows she can't achieve, or at least realistically, she will not be able to achieve. And you're already kind of allowing yourself to accept that you're not going to hit that goal. So we set what we call realistic goals, and sometimes we set a stretch goal. Okay, here's my minimum standard goal, and here's where I'd really like it to be. But then it's got to be something realistic. If I go to the gym, I didn't set a goal of I want to be bench pressing 300 pounds. It had been a few years since I had been to the gym. It would have been completely unrealistic for me to think in 6 months' time I'm going to be bench pressing 300 pounds. What would be a goal that I could set that was realistic was I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. And after I can successfully do that for 6 months, then upgraded that habit, then maybe I start setting some goals of like the weights that I wanted to hit. Like my first 2 months going back to the gym, I didn't even look at the weight. Like I put the bar where it was comfortable and wasn't killing me. My goal was just to not die for the first 2 months. Like, let's get back in shape. I had played a lot of sports and then the pandemic hit and it had been a couple months since I had really gotten to be active. There's some muscles that hadn't moved in a few months. Like it was literally like, let's just get back into the routine. But you want to set realistic goals. I hear agents that will tell me, I'm going to lead generate 3 hours a day, 5 days a week next week. Well, how many hours did you lead generate last week? Well, none. How about the week before? None. Well, then why don't we just start off with like 30 minutes a day? Like, let's make it a realistic goal. So you want it to be specific, measurable, assignable, relevant, or realistic, and then time-based. So that there's a deadline to hit. So that it's not an open-ended goal. Does that kind of make sense?
When you say assignable, what are you referring to?
Who's going to do it? So if it's a goal for it's typically as a solo agent, we kind of know the answer. It's going to be you. But if it's a team, it's you and Carol, and you have a team goal, who's responsible for what? What portion of it are you taking ownership of? What part of that goal do you own? What part of that goal does she own? So that when we combine them together, we get the goal that we have. And it's got to be something that I can actually go out and physically achieve. And so you'll hear that term, setting SMART goals. So one of the tools we have at Keller Williams is called a CGI calculator. And so we are going to walk through that. I'm going to show you guys how that works, and then I'll send an email out this afternoon. Did everybody get the email yesterday I sent out with the YouTube video link and the link to the Google form to track your daily 10-4? I sent it out through Eventbrite, so it may have gotten thrown into your spam. So check that spam for an Eventbrite email. Should have gone out. I'll double check on Eventbrite that it did go out. It may have been scheduled and not gone out, so that could be on me.
I got it.
Okay. So it should have gone out. So if you didn't get it, either get with me and I'll resend it if I didn't have the right email address, or check your spam. But so the CGI calculator allows you to set your goal, and then it's going to break down what you got to do to hit that goal. And I kind of find it fun because I think some of us, we have pretty lofty goals, but then when we break it down and chunk it down, we realize it's maybe not as difficult as we thought. I think sometimes we focus on the end goal, not necessarily the activities. To me, my goal is more activity-based. I have the outcome I'm hoping to desire. I may have told you guys this example I like to give. Big baseball fan. Obviously, my second baseball story today. Big Rangers fan. And in my opinion, I've seen some good players. Griffey's up there on that list. Ichiro was a pretty amazing athlete. But I think the 2014 Josh Hamilton season was maybe one of the best seasons I've seen a baseball player have. Dude was just a stud. Turns out off the field might be a just horrible human being. Was kind of what I've learned, especially after he's gotten out of baseball. But that season, he was electrifying. And about midway through June, he went up to Baltimore, and he had a game where he hit 4 home runs, which is pretty incredible. Like, dudes in beer league softball would be happy with a 4 home run night. And he did it against Major League pitching. And he did an interview after the game. And they asked him, Josh, you're putting up at the time he was on pace to hit close to like 80 home runs a season. It tailored off a little bit. He had some injury issues later in the season. But they asked him, what's different this season? And he said, every year I set goals. I want to hit 50 home runs. I want to have 120 RBIs. I want to win a Gold Glove. I want to, personal production goals. He goes, but this is the first season that instead of concentrating on the outcome, I concentrated on the actions. That my goals were set, but then I also set the actions. And instead of focusing on hitting 50 home runs, I had a goal of taking 200 live batting practice pitches a day and taking another 1,000 cuts off the tee every day. And I knew that if I did that and I hit the actions, that the results would follow. And so many of us get caught up in the end game and focus on just that goal. Well, netting $100,000, that's a big ass goal. That's a big number. That could be a tough goal to get your head around. But what we want to do is we want to break it down to see what does that need to look like on a month-by-month basis. And then we can even work one-on-one together to break that down to what activities do we need to be doing to make sure that each month we hit that goal. We stack those wins up. Jason Garrett, he's a ex-coach of the Cowboys. Love or hate him, dude's a pretty smart guy. And I love the way he would talk about the Cowboys. The Cowboys can't go win the Super Bowl. They're not even gonna have an opportunity to play for it. But when you lose a game, you can't go play the next game the next day. Next game's not till next Sunday. So if the goal is we want to win next Sunday against the Redskins or against the Eagles, or they're not the Washington football team, or we want to beat the Eagles next week, that's a great goal, but there's nothing we can do about that Monday morning. But what we can do is we can understand what actions and what activities do we need to perform on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, so that we are in the best position to accomplish our goal on Sunday. So as Jason would say, is you got to stack wins on. We got to win Monday. We got to win the day Tuesday. We then stack 2 wins on top of each other, and now we get a 3rd one on Wednesday, and then we win the week. When we win the week, we put ourselves in the best position on Sunday to go out and execute and win the game. Real estate's the same thing. Very few of us, maybe our goal is I want to sell 50 homes this year. Very few of us will ever have an opportunity to, in one transaction, do 50 homes. You might. I was in Bowl one day when an agent got off the phone with a random cold call they made, and they went out, and that afternoon they met with a gentleman who had a portfolio of over 35 rental properties that they were ready to liquidate. So in one day they picked up 35 listings. So it can happen. I wouldn't have my plan B. I'm going all or nothing. I'm not doing one listing at a time. I'm either doing all 50 or I'm not taking one. And most of us, that's not going to be a realistic expectation. But what you can do is you can win every day. I can know what actions do I need to take so that at the end of the week, I've gotten myself an appointment. How many appointments do I need every month so that I can get 2 listings in one buyer? And if I can close those, I start stacking them up. That's why we build backwards. We do it like Dresden Dolls. We figure out, where do you want to go? Where do we need to be in 5 years? Where do we need to be in a year? It's something my dad used to always tell me as a young adult when life was a little bit crazy and I was maybe not on the right path. And I thought he had created it himself. And now that I've been in Keller Williams, I've learned he heard this from Gary. And I'm sure Gary heard it from someone else because I've seen it in other places since then. But so many of us overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year while underestimating what can be accomplished in 5 years. And that was something that he used to tell me, and I used to kind of understand it. But if I were to look at my life at 25 and then at 30, 25-year-old me would have been pretty amazed at where we were by the time we were 30. 25-year-old me was bartending, going out, partying, going to the bars, probably not making the best decisions in life. 30-year-old me was selling $15 million in real estate, living in a house I had purchased, in a steady relationship at the time, had a dog, like a much more quiet life. Most of my nights were spent at home, grilling out, hanging out on the couch. Like my life had dramatically changed in so many different ways over that 5 years. And that's the cool thing. You're at the precipice of your real estate career. Man, you guys can be in so many cool places within 5 years. There's a chance some of you guys are going to be on stage with Gary because you're the rock star real estate agent. Some of you might be on the cover of Realtor magazine. Some of you might not be in real estate. Maybe this opens up another avenue. Maybe you end up working with a home buyer and you end up going into new home sales. Maybe you get really involved on the lending side or the title side. You decide to go that route. Hopefully, most of you are still here at Keller Williams. We love it, but the opportunities are going to grow for you guys. And that's what life to me is all about, is I want to create success. When I get to meet when I would go on these interviews out on the West Coast, they would always ask me, what's my goal? And one of my biggest goals is, and it was tough because it wasn't necessarily the most definable, so I had to define what that looked like, but is I wanted to create opportunity. I didn't know what possibilities might be out there, but I want to make sure I put myself in the best position so that when opportunities come, I'm able to take advantage of them. That I'm in a place financially, in a place in my love life, in a place in my spiritual life, in a place in my life that I can take advantage of those opportunities. 5 years from now, you guys can be doing you can do some incredible things this year. This can be an amazing year. There's nothing that's saying you can't make 6 figures this year. You can't make your dreams come true for this year. But boy, what you can do in 5 years, you'll be amazed at. I mean, some of you may start your own company and be the CEO of a $500 million producing company in 5 years. Who knows? This world works in mysterious ways. But so we want to break it down though. So if I know where I want to be, my forever goal, my big why, where I'd like to go, where do I need to be in 5 years so that I'm in the right place? Then if I want to be there in 5 years, where do I need to be this year? And if I need to be there this year, where do I need to be every month? And if I need to be there at the end of this month, where do I need to be this week? And if I need to be there this week, what can I do today? And so we build it down like a Dresden doll. And so that way we can focus on the daily activities, but know that I built my daily activities to reflect getting me to where I need to be at the end of the week. My week goal was set up to get me 1/4 closer to my month goal. My month goal was set up to get me 1/12 closer to my year goal. My year goal was set up to get me 1/5 of the way to my 5-year goal. My 5-year goal was set up to get me to my eventual goal. So that I know if I build it that way, while it may seem like I'm focused on a little bit of micro piece of my business, I know with the end in mind, instead of just kind of picking a goal for each day. Got it. iPhone, get them, got them. Cool. So I'm going to send out a link to the CGI calculator, but I kind of like it because it breaks it down for us. So who knows their goal in year one? You want to share?
25 units.
25 units? So you know a unit goal. So that kind of breaks it down. We can just figure out that out of 25 units, you need to be on average doing 2 a month. Pretty simple. Do you know what your average price will be? Do you know how much that will net you?
I haven't got it.
All right, let's walk through it. So this, I'm just going to use a manual calculator because this one works the other way. But so you want to do 25 units. And we know the average home price in this market center is about $315,000. So who working with that?
Yep.
Let's say it's 13. So that would have you at 25 units at $315,000 is going to have you at $7,875,000 in total volume. So just under $8 million in total volume. Now we know the average commission is typically about 3%. However, when we do listings, sometimes we're going to do a little bit of, sometimes we may offer a discount of some sort. When might you offer that? Well, for example, I helped a young lady purchase a home and now we're about to sell her home. So we are going to be rebating 1% off of the sales price of the lesser of the 2 transactions. So let's say she bought a $600,000 house and we're selling her house for $4,000. I'm going to be offering her 1% back off of the lesser of those 2 deals, so off of the $400,000. Let's say she bought a $400,000 house, but then she sold her house for $600,000. I'm still going to offer it off that first transaction, but I will not pay her until the second. So because I don't want them to get the discount on the first one and then go use another agent for the second transaction, it states out, we will rebate 1% of the lesser of the 2 sales price at the completion of the second transaction. It's a little confusing wording, but basically we give you 1% back on the smaller of the 2 deals once we close the second deal. And I think that for a lot of agents, that's fairly standard. You know, if you're doing 2 deals with me, plus I know you're a good source of referrals, that's totally worth it. So you're going to be at $7,875,000. We're going to say your average commission is going to be about 2.85%. So 0.0285 means you will have a gross commission of $224,437. Now that gross commission, we're going to pay out our company dollar and our royalty of $21,000 because that will, you sell 7.8, you're absolutely a capper. So that's $21,000 is your cost of sales. That's a built-in number. Kind of know every year my cost of doing business at Keller Williams is $21,000. It's a built number. That's kind of nice. I can use that every time. So we take that out. It's going to leave you with $203,000. Now Uncle Sam's going to want a little bit of that money. Typically, depending on your CPA, you're going to be anywhere between 20 to 30% on tax rate. So we're going to use 25%. So after taxes, you're at $152,578. We also know you're gonna have some expenses in this business. If you're doing that kind of volume, your expenses will get a little bit higher, paying for listing photos, paying for marketing, maybe running some advertisements for yourself, whatever the case may be. So let's say you're spending $1,000 a month plus your CCAR dues, your MLS dues, your super key, all that stuff adds up. Let's say that's $1,000 a month. So if you sold 25 units, not if, let's say when you sell 25 units at an average of $315,000, you will have a net commission of $140,578. You call that a pretty good year? And that's profit. So your gross is going to be about 250. You will net about 140. Uncle Sam gets a pretty big piece of that pie, but don't worry. Uncle Sam spends that money wisely, never wastes any of it. That's a fun joke to make because it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. We can all laugh at that they literally take our tax money and just blow it sometimes. So it's really not that funny, but kind of fun. And it doesn't matter who's in charge. We're all going to disagree with how it's spent. So what we can do on this one, who knows how much they want to make next year?
I have a target
Oh.
of 150,000.
150. Cool, let's walk it back. This is what I'll send out to you guys, so you can play around with this, kind of see how it changes. So tax rate of 25, let's make sure I'm sharing this with our, yep, we're sharing it. 25% tax rate, your royalty of $3,000, your company dollar is $18,000, that's gonna be fixed. Your expenses, first year can range anywhere from $500 a month to $1,000 a month. I mean, there are agents that spend quite a lot more than that. I know agents that their expenses we talked about the agent who sends out the magazines every month. Just that alone is $20,000 a month. So you think she's got to have some pretty big goals to be able to afford paying $20,000 a month? That's literally $240,000 a year she's spending on just that magazine. $250,000 on just her marketing. You better have some lofty goals if that's going to be a portion of it that we're going to be spending. But let's call it 1,000. Additional means is salary or draw. So some of you may at some point decide, and it's probably worth doing, is becoming either an LLC or an S Corp. I'm not going to give you a recommendation on which way to do that. I am by no means a CPA or a tax advisor. However, I recommend not necessarily setting it up day one. The rule of thumb I've always been told by the financial advisors I've talked to is once you get to the point where you're consistently closing a deal a month, that's when we want to probably be bringing in somebody like a CPA, start working with you on setting yourself up as an S Corp or an LLC. Reason is that it keeps liability. In case, knock on fake wood, you were ever involved in any sort of legal proceedings, it protects your personal assets. Also allows you tax liabilities. It's amazing how our government is set up to help big businesses as opposed to individuals. We don't seem to ever object to handing out billions in dollars to businesses, but the individual we seem a little more concerned about some days. Personal opinion, probably didn't need to share that. Additional means, so once you set yourself up like that, a lot of agents will put themselves on a salary or a draw. And then everything else goes into an account. And at the end of the year, you pay your expenses, you pay your taxes out of that account. Anything left over, you can bonus yourself. You can be an employer to yourself. Your one employee is you. I know a lot of agents that took those PPP loans. The way they were able to take that was because they were an employee of their own company. And that allowed them to get a little bit back this year. And so they have themselves set up on a salary or draw. Right now, most of us don't. Average commission of $285. Any idea on your average price?
Target of 300,000.
Okay. Any guess on, so seller focus, out of every 10 deals you do, how many you think might be a seller and how many might be a buyer?
Probably 60-40.
In which direction?
I think 40 for seller.
Okay. Conversion rate of listings taken to listings closed. In other words, out of every 10 listings you get, how many do you expect to close? Just to kind of my guesstimate for you, in this market, most homes are gonna sell. If you properly price it, if you properly market it, it should sell. I put in 90% because stuff happens. Deals go sideways. You get a deal like I was talking about with my unmotivated seller. They kind of decided halfway through after accepting the contract that they were good and didn't want to sell their house. That stuff will happen. Maybe the buyer, for whatever reason, their financing falls through at the last minute, and then your guys, because that gave such a bad taste in your seller's mouth, they decided to take the house off the market. You never know what may happen. So let's call it 90%. And then this last ratio is number of listing appointments you go on to how many listings you take. So I set it at 75%. And this is something I think a lot of agents worry about, is that how many am I going to convert to that? Well, here's the good news. Both buyers and sellers, 3 out of 4 of them only interview one agent. The name of the game is the appointment. You get the appointment, most of them are going to choose to do business with you. They've made the selection by even bringing you in for an interview. I very rarely, I told you I lost or didn't lose, but chose not to accept the listing when I competed with an agent here at this market center. That's the rarity for me. I know maybe out in the high-end luxury market, maybe a little bit more common that they interview 2 or 3 agents. Especially if you're doing most of your business in the database, where it's database and referral based, they're not even listing appointments. They're what we call come list me's. Where it's, hey, Aaron, you sold my friend John's house a couple of years ago, and he said you were just an absolute rock star. So I wanted to see if you would help us sell our house. And they feel like they have to ask, like, would you? You're like, I guess I will. And so that's going to be a come list me, basically. You already kind of know you got this listing as long as we can come to an agreement on price and how we want to market the home. I mean, I show up to those with my sign and my lockbox ready to rock and roll. I mean, my goal is to when I leave that evening, to put the sign in the yard with the coming soon sign and go ahead and start getting everything scheduled and ready to go. Even on the appointments I don't know that I'm going to get, I have my sign and my lockbox in the car. One of the things I'll ask when I set that appointment, we'll go a whole class on listing appointments, but as I'll ask them before I get out there, if you have time, go grab 2 copies of your key would be great. I know if I show up and they've got the 2 copies of the key, I got the listing. I need 1 copy to put in the lockbox. I need another copy we keep on a key rack at our house, so that when I get the inevitable call that an agent has accidentally gone home with the key, I can get another key out there until we find the agent that has the key. It will happen to you guys. You're going to get home at the end of one night and you're going to pull out everything out of your pockets and you're going to put your keys down, and then a little like random key is going to come out. You're going to go, man, you showed 10 houses that day. They were all the way out in Fort Worth. You don't know which house it belongs to. You just wait by your phone for the agent to inevitably call and go, hey, I think you were the last person that got into my house over off Main Street, and now there's somebody over there trying to show it and they don't have a key in the box. Just happens. We just somehow absentmindedly, maybe you're talking to the client as you walk out the house, you grab the lockbox, you pop it back in, and you just never put the key back. So I have a system when I go show a house, I unlock the lockbox, I turn the key, and then I take the little black thing and I put it right by the door on the inside. They have a little window, I put it on the window sill, now I put it right on the ground so that I literally have to kick it to walk out of the house. So that I A, don't lose it, and B, remember to put the dang thing back in. I like to lock the door behind me when I go in the house. I just don't want random people walking in the house, because it has happened. Random strangers will think that because you're showing the house, they can come on in. Don't ever do that, ever. It's a safety reason, and you have no idea who that person is walking through somebody's house. Soapbox there. But so what we're going to do is we put those numbers in, and like I said, I'm going to send you guys all this link. It's fun to play around with, kind of see. You hit submit. Now your goals have been updated. So it tells you at Keller Williams, our mission statement is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, and experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. After your cost of sales, expenses, and taxes, what amount of profit would fund the life you want to live this year? Carefully consider this number. We're going to create goals based on it. So we went with $150,000. So taxes. First, let's consider taxes. Would you like to use a specific tax rate or an average rate of 40%? Boy, if you're paying 40%, you need to get yourself a new tax advisor. You may not know this, but in real estate, literally everything is a write-off. Like almost everything you do is a freaking write-off. You'll be amazed at what you can write off. So to achieve the after tax income goal of 150,000 with the 25% for the tax rate, you're going to need to make 200,000. Now our cost of sales, we know that number is going to be 21,000 because that's your cap and royalty. And then your expenses at 1,000 a month means 12,000. So all they do is they take your profit plus your taxes, plus your cost of sales, plus your expenses. And that gives us the total of your gross commission income to net 150,000 will be 233,000. In other words, each month, $19,417. So let's identify the numbers of closings you need to reach your gross commission income goal. Your average commission is at 2.9%. Your average sales price is 300,000. So from your average commission and average sales price, we know on an average per transaction, you will generate $85.50 in gross commission income. So to achieve your gross commission income goal, you will need 28 closings per year. So they don't round or show decimals, they round everything up. So they're saying 3 a month. Well, 3 a month, obviously, we get you 36. So what we know is you need 2 a month every month, and we need 4 months where you get 3. Now, here's the good thing. If you're getting listings, you should get that. Each listing should, on our team, we consider each listing worth 2 more transactions. Our goal is to walk away with 2 transactions besides just the listing. So I want my listing to sell, and then either I'm normally helping my listing buy a home, or I'm going to pick somebody up from open houses, or I'm door knocking in the neighborhood, or I'm sending out just listed, just sold postcards. Listings provide leverage. Old joke that I heard once, kind of corny, but two real estate agents were out on the golf course. One was a buyer's agent, one was a listing agent. And the listing agent looked at the buyer's agent and said, "You know what the difference between us is, right?" The buyer's agent said, "No, not really." And the listing agent said, "Well, I'm working today and you're taking the day off." And you have to kind of think about it, but when you do, you realize, so as a listing agent, while I'm out on the golf course, I still have a sign in the yard. I've got a text captured on my sign so I can get leads that way. My listing is on 5,000 different websites. Maybe I'm currently running an ad for it on Facebook at the time. So I'm literally on the golf course teeing off on the 3rd hole while generating leads. Whereas solely as a buyer's agent, you're really not getting a lot of business done unless you actually have a buyer in your car. And so listings provide you that leverage that you can go out and generate more business off them. In this market, listings are liquid gold. I pretty much know if we price it right and market it right, we're absolutely going to sell a home in this market. Whereas even if I have a buyer that's pre-approved, it's no guarantee. I've got a buyer right now that I'm going to be showing this weekend out in Darlington. He's looking at 250 and under, 4 beds, 2.5 baths. So there's literally like 5 homes that all matches criteria. So we don't even have that many choices. And I already know that everything we look at, we're going to be in a multiple offer situation. And that he's an FHA approved buyer. So we're going to come across cash buyers. It's just money with people, and there's not much we can do about that. There's different ways we can structure the offer. There's other terms outside of just the sales price. There's actually over 20 negotiable terms on the sales contract besides sales price. Understanding how each one of those can favor either a seller or a buyer will help me position his offer to compete as best as we can, but it may be an uphill struggle for a buyer like that. So it's just the reality. Now I make sure my buyers are well informed of that, so that when I tell them that the list price is $230, but we need to write an offer for $245, $250, they don't balk at me. Nothing sucks worse than writing an offer that you know ain't gonna get it done. You call the listing agent, I call I say, "Hey, so I got a client really interested in your house. You working any offers?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm in the double-digit offers already." "Awesome, is there a deadline?" "Yep, Friday night at 5 o'clock, we're gonna review every offer." Beautiful. I go back to my clients. I said, "No, it's listed at $230, but I just talked to the listing agent. She's into double-digit multiple offers. What are you guys thinking of offering?" And they're like, "Let's go in at $215. Do I have to write the offer? Yeah, I have a fiduciary responsibility, and I'm signing the agreement saying that, yeah, if I'm going to represent them as a buyer, if that's the decision they wish to make, it's their decision to make. I just happen to know in the back of my head that there is a 99.9% chance that that offer is going to even get a whiff, because we're going to be just crushed. Almost every offer is going to be over list price. So when we talk about buyer consultations in the next couple of weeks, we're going to really, really emphasize it's not just finding out what they want, but it's educating them on the market at the moment. The more you do that, the less time you will spend working with them. Because I've done a good job, at least I know with these buyers this weekend, if we do find something, I've prepared them that, hey, we better be willing to go guns a-blazing and write our best offer right off the get-go. We are not in at that price range, there's not a lot of countering back and forth. It's typically a best and final situation where the seller asks you by this deadline to submit your best and final answer. You can end up negotiating against yourself in this market. It sucks. You make an offer the first day it hits the market, 2 days later, the agent calls you before they've given you an answer and says, now I have multiple offers, we're taking best and final by Friday at 5. And you're like, well, we wrote a really good offer, but crap, do we go up? And like, I've more than likely negotiated against myself and raised, you don't know. It's a no-win situation as a buyer's agent, because if you win the offer, your client inevitably thinks you made them overpay. If you lose the offer, your client's like, why didn't you tell me to pay more? Kind of sucks. Like, it's not a fun situation. Tough market we're in. So you're going to need 28 closings this year at an average price of $300,000. So let's look at listings. So from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, we know seller listings are your high leverage, maximum earning opportunity, and that properly marketed listings bring you more business. Research shows that on average, one well-marketed listing will generate one serious buyer who buys. Our goal is 2. That can be another listing, it can be another buyer. We don't care how the 2 come, but we have an expectation that every listing actually equals 3 transactions. Maybe we double side that listing. I'm not a big fan of double siding listings. I think it should be illegal. I will typically appoint someone else to handle the other side. I've made an agreement with typically the seller first, that I'm going to represent them, help them throughout the negotiation process, help offer advice. If somebody comes to my open house and decides they want to buy that house, I can't really then offer advice. I can only state facts. And so I've made a promise to my seller that all of a sudden I'm like, hey, Ray, I know I promised you I'd help you out. We negotiate and I'd provide great advice. However, Aaron is a buyer that came through the open house and wants to use me to write the offer. So I'd love to double side this son of a gun. And it means that I can't really help provide you any advice other than just tell you what things mean. If he feels like you got kind of a raw end of the deal, I sure would. Now, the way some agents try to make up for that is I'll reduce my commission. Instead of me getting all 6%, maybe I'll do it for 4%, 2% for each side, basically. Maybe that's worth it for him not to have representation, but to me, I made the promise to him, I'm going to represent him. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call one of you guys and say, hey, Kevin, I got a buyer that came through my open house. I would love for you to work with him, 20% referral fee. How's that sound? I get 3% plus a 20% referral fee. He is a buyer that's tailored, ready to write an offer on this house. Now there's an understanding, and we make sure we came to this agreement that you're only representing this buyer if they go forward on this house. If they decide or they don't win the multiple offers, I then pick them back up. I mean, that's worth it. If I got to spend a couple hours helping a buyer write an offer and they get it, great. I'm getting 80% of a commission that I otherwise wouldn't have had. And if they end up not, okay, more than likely as a good agent and a nice person, I'm going to sing Kevin a little something, something for taking the time out of his day. And unfortunately, your client's been with the offer, but I really appreciate you being willing to work with those guys. And at the same time, hopefully Kevin, when he has an opportunity to send a referral, will send one my way. That to me is the right way to do it. I know some states have started to outlaw the double siding of deals.
Would you ever go to your broker and tell the situation? Let him
make the appointment? Absolutely. Yeah.
That becomes intermediary.
Yep. Yeah. And so it's still an intermediary deal. It's just going to be with appointment. So when you get the contract, your agreement, it'll ask, will your client accept intermediary status? I think a lot of us think just intermediary is me. No, if I don't have if my listing says we will not allow intermediary status, none of you can show that listing. So I have to explain to my client that yes, we're going to click that box, but no, I will never do representation for both the buyer and seller on this transaction. But it will allow other agents from my office, who I obviously am not going to share all our secrets with, to come in and view the home. Every now and then I've done one where like we do it within the family. And I know from behind the scenes, we will not share secrets. However, does the consumer know that? No. So we've quit doing that. Because if I'm doing a deal where I'm negotiating, my mom, which I've done before, and she's kicked my ass. She's a bulldog, man. But it just, that still has an appearance of we're family. Surely we're telling each other what the other side's thinking, right? No, we believe in integrity, so we don't, but I don't blame them for thinking that. So we just decided that's something we don't want to do anymore as well. That's a personal decision you get to make. A lot of us, you get to make these business decisions. Do you offer that 1% rebate if they purchase and sell a home with you? That's up to you. Now, when you do discount, you are, until you have capped, you do need to ask for permission from the office. I do not know of a time when they have said no. However, if every listing you get, you were telling us you're doing it for 1%, we're at least going to sit down and have a pretty fierce conversation as to, do you really believe in the value you're presenting to sellers, or are you undercutting your own self before? Because there's not a chance in the world that every seller has asked you to reduce it down to 1%. Part of me thinks you're going in and immediately giving up your commission and not understanding the value you bring to the table. Let's work on your value proposition. However, once you have capped and you get 100% of every commission, that's 100% your choice. What you want to do with that money. You can give it all away. We're not going to stop you. We still may have that fierce conversation with you. Hey, Aaron, I saw you close 5 listings last month. Congratulations. I also saw you made $0 from it. I know you love people and I know you love helping people, but walk me through your decision here. Was $0 really the goal? And maybe you have a good reason why you did it. Maybe it was, these were 5 folks that you knew were in a distressed situation and you got the heart of gold. And by golly, we should all strive to be a better person like you. But maybe we don't understand our value and we're giving ourselves away for way too cheap, as in $0. So that's going to be up to you to make that decision, though. We're going to help coach you around. Just make sure you've given everything a thought. So listing appointments. So we saw listings. You're going to need 11 closed listings. Now, assuming a couple may fall out, we want to take 13 for the year. That means we need to, they round up. So we know 13 is really just 1 a month plus 1 month where you get 2. They round up and they tell you 2 a month. Well, if you do 2 a month, that's 24 listings. You do 24 listings, we hit that goal. We go flying by it. 24 listings, you're starting to take some market share, my man. That's 2 a month. That's even that unreasonable? Not really. It's really 1 a month when we really break it down. That seems pretty darn doable. Now, here's what happens, and we'll kind of wrap up here in the next couple seconds, but here's what happens. This is why I love this, and I hate this little calculator, because it makes you realize, man, maybe $150,000, maybe when you break it down and chunk it down, not the most difficult thing in the world. Go down, can you just find 1 seller to meet with you a week? 1 a week. You get 4 seller appointments, you're going to end up with way more than 1 listing a month. That I can promise you. The issue is so many of us, we go out and get that first deal, and then instead of, we go back to that grow your business, run your business, all of our efforts shift over to the run your business. We let that seller contact us morning, noon, day, night. We're always on call for them. We jump when they say to jump. Instead of setting our standards of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, every morning from 9 to 11, I lead generate for future business to not only find new buyers, but to find buyers for your listing. To market your listing, that is my time dedicated towards going out and finding buyers for your listing. I'm very protective of that time, so if you need anything, if it's an emergency, let me know. Otherwise, if you call me from 9 to 11, I'll give you a call right back after 11 o'clock. Protect that time, because what happens is you end up just running your business. Now we close that deal, but we've missed a whole month of lead generation, so now we look up and we've got to go out and we got to lead generate, find a new seller. And we end up going from 1 a month to maybe every other month. Well, we cut 150 in half, that's 75. What if it's 1 every 3 months? Now it's 50,000 a year. And that's not a bad year. There's nothing wrong with making 50,000, but if you had a goal of 150, how would you feel making 50? I feel like I got about a third of the way there. About a third of the life I wanted to live was possible because I didn't consistent. And so it's that consistency of that. It's not always easy, especially when you're new. You want to get tied up in that transaction, but you've got to continue that grow your business side so that we can hit that consistency of 1 a month. There's nothing so pressing that you're going to be spending 24 hours a day on 1 transaction. Yet I see agents that literally, I asked them why they didn't lead generate. Well, I got this deal from hell. Awesome. What did you have to do on it yesterday? where I had to send over the amendment that the other side sent me for signatures. And that took 16 hours. He slept for 8. He sent an email over for DocuSign signatures. What else did you do on that listing? Well, that was it yesterday. But it was really stressed. I got stressed about it, so took the afternoon off and went and got a massage. Oh, okay. Boy, I can't wait till you get 2 deals in a month. That's gonna that might put you into an early grade. But it is. It's amazing how we will like literally having to send one email. That's it. That's all I got in me today. I am, woo, that was an ass kicker, man. I'm gonna go on Facebook. Real estate is so hard. I don't think so, but it's your first time. I get it. It feels stressful. You're going to be stressed. That's why we eat the big frog first, get it out of the way, and then we can go on and start doing our lead gen. But it's that consistency. The agents that consistently lead generate, consistently come hell or high water, they are lead generating. Nothing gets in the way of that. If something does get in the way of that today, and they're doing it on Saturday or Sunday, they plan on watching the wild card football game. Well, the game doesn't start till 2 tomorrow. You're good. You got noon to 2. You don't even have to start calling people in the AM. I know you plan on taking all Saturday off. Maybe something does get in the way. Life happens. I'm not one of those coaches. I've had that coach that like, it didn't matter. Am I going to have to pay more money? Son of a gun. They already got my 5. Now I'm going to double it. I'll give them 10 today. That'll teach me a lesson. But it's that consistency and continuing to lead generate. Those are the agents that no matter what happens, they do that. Those are the agents that find success in this business. I told you guys, when you get to go to these family reunions, some of the people on stage are not the most dynamic people. But they get that. They consistently lead generate. They grow that business, and that's where they hit their goals every year. So we need 11 closed listings to hit your goal, Mike. Means 13 listings taken for the year. So appointments, if we convert 3 out of every 4, we need 17 listing appointments, 2 a month. So you don't even have to find one a week. Every other week, you just have to find somebody who's willing to sit down with you and discuss selling their home. Hopefully one of them's a pretty soon upcoming listing, one of them maybe 6 months away. That's okay. You're building that pipeline. So for most of you, those are the kind of numbers we need to make 6 figures, 150. What would your life look like if in 2021 you net $150,000? Whose life would be better? Anybody in this room wouldn't feel like $150,000 would allow you to do something pretty cool in the next year? Are there vacations you would go on? Would you buy that dream car you've always wanted? Would you pay off your debt? What would it feel like to be debt free? Well, they didn't teach us that in high school, which they had. Like some basic money management at 18 sure would have helped 20-year-old Hunter not put himself behind the 8 ball from the get-go. We didn't, and I did. Life happens. We're still learning as we go, but it's the consistency of lead generating. So we'll get the goal recap, and then we'll call it a day with some ahas. And I will send this link out. Play around with it this weekend. You'll notice the difference between 50 and 150,000 ain't that much. That's it. The good thing, well, also the scary thing. Doesn't take a whole lot more to go from 50 to 150, but it also doesn't take a whole lot to go from 150 back down to 50. Or if the goal is 75, it doesn't take a lot to go from 75 to 25. Make it 25, you're probably calling me 6 months in and saying, man, I really appreciate everything you guys have done, but I got to go get a JOB. You don't want a JOB, you have a career. That's what's cool. This can be a career. This isn't a stopgap. For a lot of us, this is my career. I will be in real estate in some form or fashion, probably for the rest of my life in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's as an investor, whether it's as a coach and trainer, a speaker, just fully producing agent, I'll wear any hat. But I probably see myself for the next 30, 40 years in real estate at some level. Hopefully towards the back half of that 30, 40 years is mostly an investor. That is the goal. But so to recap, so you need 2 listing appointments per month to take 2 listings a month and 3 closings a month. You get those 2 listings a month, I promise you're going to get the 3 closings. And that will net you every month a gross commission income of $19,417, which will turn around after paying Uncle Sam, after paying Uncle Gary Keller, after paying your expenses. Walk away with $150,000. Tell you, either one of you hit those goals, you're rookie of the year. Unless Stowe crushes you and she does 200, and Kevin crushes you and does 225, you do 300,000. You say, screw all you guys, I'm netting 500 this year, what up? Fight for rookie of the year, man. Our rookies of the year, I can go back and show you them. They're pretty damn successful. I think Maggie Dieter is probably gonna be our rookie of the year for 2020. Maggie's on pace to do like 8 million already. Their second year. Jake Langford, he did, I think, 6 million his first year. It's not impossible, that's the thing. I can walk you down the hallway and show you examples of agents. But don't tell me, it's my first year, I just wanna learn. Cool, while you're learning, someone in this room is gonna go out and sell $6, $7, $8 million this year. Why not you? Because I promise you, at the end of the year, you spent all year in a classroom and Jake spent all year selling 6 million. He knows so much more than you ever learned. Don't become a bookshelf realtor. We have them. They come to every one of our classes. The office, we love them because it means I know I'm gonna have someone in most of my classes. There's a few I can think of and I love them. They're amazing people and they don't make shit. Excuse my language. But it's because they spend all day in class. They don't go out and go do. Go do. I love class. I think we teach you a lot at night. You'll learn so much more the first transaction you get. So much more than I can ever teach you. Because what I'm teaching you now is only theoretical to you. When we get into the contract, we'll be talking about like the option period, and it's gonna mean something to you. Once you go out and actually have an option period and negotiate repairs and come up against that deadline, it's gonna mean a lot to you. Appraisal, we'll talk about the differences in appraisals and how that works. It's theoretical right now. First time you get an appraisal back that's $20,000 below the contract price, just became real to you. Go out, get in that good trouble. That's the goal this weekend. Go get yourself into good trouble. I want my phone to ring off the hook because you guys are, oh my God, I'm actually going to show a buyer this weekend and I have no idea what I'm doing. Cool, I'll go with you. Hey, I got a seller I gotta go meet and I have no idea what I'm doing. Cool, I'll go with you. I don't mind going out and getting my hands dirty. I'm a licensed agent in production. I don't actively lead generate for it, but I make sure I do enough deals every year to keep the skills sharp. I would love nothing more than to spend my whole weekend not watching football because I was out working with you guys. So what ahas you got from week 1? Tell me something good.
Degenerate.
Yeah, man, if over the next 4 weeks you get no aha, the one thing I've taught them in here, and you'll get to hear, without leads, what?
No business.
Nothing else matters.
We gotta lead. This business is lead generation. It's going out and letting people know you're in this business. So that you can be the best at negotiating, write better contracts, have better marketing, have a cooler website, but if you don't have clients, all that's for naught. So go out this weekend, have conversations, get in that good trouble, get in over your head. It's cool, we'll bail you out. I got 50 life jackets, a big ass boat will come get you in. We will throw you the life rope, we will get you out, we will drive you off, we will walk with you all the way to the closing table. Who in here's ever got a paycheck for over 5 figures? Yeah, I sure had them before I got into real estate. Boy, once you see that first one, you're like, I'm gonna go get me more of these. This is amazing. I mean, a good week waiting tables was like $1,500. And that was like a good week, 7 days a week, busting your behind off, probably 65, 70 hours. You got an opportunity to do some really cool things with your life because of where you're sitting today. And so take advantage of that opportunity. Get in that good trouble. So you guys online, y'all got anything you want to share before we call it a day? On my black boxes?
No, sir.
Well, thank you guys for hanging in with us. Always love seeing David on there. The rest of y'all, feel free to share your faces with us. Y'all all so pretty. We miss y'all. Otherwise, you guys have an awesome weekend. Make sure you got my number saved in your phone. Seriously. Would love nothing more than my phone to ring off the hook, helping you guys out in any way I can. So you guys have an awesome one. Miss Shonda, I think you are still on. I know you and I are meeting. Give me about 5 minutes and then we'll both hop back onto this link and meet on Zoom if that works. About what I expected.
She's there.